Last night was cut off. The beginning, I don't know exactly how long, but I mean, a good chunk. It was like maybe even several minutes. So that's the first time it's ever happened that I'm aware of. I really hope that's not like something that happens often because that's really disappointing, especially when you give a disclaimer at the beginning. These are my thoughts, commentary, opinions. I am going to be reading a lot from this book. I just chose not to monetize this stream. I think it's the easiest way. I personally have never seen somebody from a book on YouTube who was monetized. I do follow some people who have book discussions though. They basically read the chapter or a few chapters at a time, give a summary and discuss the content few chapters at a time. But I thought once a few people get in the chat, I'm gonna wait. I don't want to be just like reading to myself. But I am going to feel this out and see how it goes, especially depending on your guys' comments. Like exactly how popular this sort of book is a very easy read. And once again, this is not like an audio book. This is going to be me reading from it and discussing it. But I did not monetize this because it's copyrighted. Really hard to monetize copyrighted work. Hi, HK. I'm well. How are you? So once a few more people get in here, we'll get into the book, but I'm very excited. And I don't know why I have to stress it to everybody. This is from like 1972. It is Jungian Psychology, written by Robert A. Johnson. And there's a there's two other books. There's She and then We, which We is a book I still need to buy. But anyways, I just don't wanna read it until other people are in here. Maybe I should have made a different topic tonight. I thought about doing one about the Liberty, Casey County stuff just because it's been a moment. I've had a video where in the first 60 seconds we're talking about Titus. Okay, excuse me. I'm gonna clear my throat. I'm gonna start reading just for the sake of people who are watching this on the replay. It's just the foreword is really good. I want to catch this. Women do not really know as much about men as they think they do. They have developed over the centuries considerable expertise in the techniques of adapting to men, but that is not the same as truly understanding them. Women often labor under the delusion that life is pretty easy for men, at least when compared to their own lot, and have no idea what a complicated struggle is really involved in the transition from male childhood to real manhood. They have no idea of the long and arduous road that must be traveled by the male child who must separate himself from the original, indispensable nurturing mother and venture forth into a way of experiencing himself that is not her way, and that he cannot learn from her either by example or by instruction. Considered in these terms, it is easy to see that a girl must learn to be like her mother, while a boy must learn to be different from her without this difference deteriorate deteriorating, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, into either antagonism or fear. Unfortunately, the current conditions of Western culture all too often favor this deplorable outcome with unfortunate social results. So I just got through the first paragraph of the foreword of this book. Hi, Nathan, how are you doing? I am not monetizing these because this is copyrighted work. I just want to be clear about that. And I think that this could be beneficial to everybody, whether you're a man or not. You know men and you love men, whatever you identify as, right? So it is for this reason that the Jungian approach, which tries to look at the enduring core of problems, is so helpful in elucidating the ongoing uproar between men and women. Johnson is particularly successful in explaining very simply through the creative interpretation of ancient myths, in this case, Parsifal, this perennial war of the sexes. It might seem to the uninitiated reader that a book which sets out to elucidate a medieval myth in modern terms would probably be pedantic and dull. Not so. Johnson's style is discursive and friendly, and his very clear expositions of Jungian tenets necessary to explain his approach are slip seamlessly into the body of the text. There is a novelistic sense of suspense, and I am most readers will not be able to put the book down without finishing it. At the same time, once finished, it will be remembered as something well worth going back over, and new insights will surface with each reading. I definitely agree with that. I read these books every few. It's been several, I think, since I've read the He and She. In short, let me say that I recommend this book highly. It is entertaining, informative, thought provoking, mysterious, poetic. Men who read it will surely learn much about themselves. Women, particularly those who are at the end, will find it a real eye opener. That was a foreword written by Ruth Tiffany Barnhouse, MD, assistant in psychiatry, at least at this time at Harvard University. Hi, Debbie. I'm doing pretty good today. How are you? So I'm gonna stop still every few paragraphs, even though, like I keep saying, I'm not monetizing this. I want it to be as interactive as possible. You guys say whatever you want whenever you want to, and I'm gonna try to keep up with the comment section. Mythology and Our Knowledge of God, an introduction to the story of the Holy Grail. Mythology was sacred to primitive people. It was as though their myths contained their very souls. Their lives are cradled within their mythology, and the death of their mythology, as happened with the American Indians, meant the destruction of their lives and spirits. To most modern men, however, the word myth is almost synonymous with falsehood or illusion. This is because of the misguided idea that myths were the childish way ancient man had of explaining natural phenomena that science explains so much better. But certain psychologists and anthropologists are now helping us see myth in another light, to understand that mythology reflects underlying psychological and spiritual processes taking place in the human psyche. Am I reading too fast? Anybody let me know. Like, I'm trying to pace myself. C.G. Jung, in particular, that's Carl Jung, with his theory of the collective unconscious, has pointed out that the myths are spontaneous presentations from the unconscious of psychological and spiritual truths. For Jung, myths have meaning for everyone because they represent in story fashion archetypes, that is, patterns of life that are universally valid. Archetypes is something you'll hear a lot when it comes to Jungian psychology. And I mean, when we were growing up, myths, fables, there was, I guess, a fable is a story with a lesson to be learned, right? We were definitely taught there can be lessons in these, but it is something to note. Like, I do agree, they are not taken as seriously as they could be when it comes to the psychology. And of course, like when you talk about how like Zeus was born from his mother's head, like weird things like that. I might be wrong about that. I mean, I just remember something of the sort. That like then people are going to easily not pay attention to the rest. However, once you read them with an analytical mind, and that's what makes us so interesting. It's like I like to watch people who are good at psychology analyze celebrity gossip. It helps you digest, and that's what both of these books do. And the She book talks about this is going to talk about Parsifal. This talks about Aphrodite and oh my gosh, I forget the other one. But anyways, oh, thank you, Frosty Cupcake. How are you doing today? Thank you for saying you don't think I'm reading too fast. Anybody let me know what their opinion is. So I'm going to start again. A myth stands in relationship to mankind in general, as a dream does to the individual. A dream shows the individual an important psychological truth about himself. A myth shows an important psychological truth that applies to mankind as a whole. That's interesting. I'm going to reread that. A dream shows the individual an important psychological truth about himself. A myth shows an important psychological truth that applies to mankind as a whole. So, like society. A person who understands a dream understands himself better. A person who grasps the inner meaning of a myth is in touch with the universal spiritual questions life asks all of us. Of all the many myths of Western man, the story of the Holy Grail is perhaps unique. It is, for one thing, the most recent of all myths. While it draws for its sources upon ancient pagan as well as Christian motifs, the myth of the Holy Grail took shape in the 12th and 13th centuries. Various forms of it appeared almost simultaneously in France, England, Wales, Germany, and other European countries, as though a vast underground life had suddenly broken through into the light. Its Christian content, its recent origin, and its source in the European soil make this legend particularly meaningful to the spiritual situation of modern Western man. Okay, want to make sure I'm reading. Hey there, G's. Not to be creepy, not to be creepy like the man, but where do you find women like this? I mean, by the clear intelligence and genuine interest in various topics, I don't think I know any women like that would take the time to read this, or at least haven't met her yet. Oh, Tony, no, that's a good way to compliment a woman, and you're not being creepy. I appreciate the consideration of not being creepy. The best compliment I have had in my life. I was a teenager in my Firebird with the T-tops out, listening to Led Zeppelin. This man waved at me like, "Turn your music down," and I did, and he said, "You just made my day," and he drove off. You know, um, there are definitely good ways to compliment a woman. I would say if you try to get yourself involved in if there's a book club or something, like the similar interest thing, try to hang out with people that have the same interests. But I know it's definitely lost upon a lot of people to read books, period. These are really easy reads. So if this sounds good to you at all, I would highly recommend like digesting it yourself on your own. Good evening. Did you really have a Firebird with T-tops? Yes, Wilbur. It was a 1983 and it wasn't a Trans Am, but I had the motor rebuilt or the transmission rebuilt and a new motor put in it that was what would have been a Trans Am. So it's basically a Trans Am. And I even slapped a bird on the hood, the Phoenix. I have proof. One of these days, I'm sure I'll share with you guys. I took that to Key West. I have beautiful pictures of that car. I painted it purple. Anyways, let's get back into this. I at least want to finish the first. Oh, I'm sorry. This is still the introduction. This is not chapter one. I'm reading the introduction right now. Of all myths, oh, I'm sorry, I already read that. This book has had its origin in a series of lectures on the Holy Grail presented at St. Paul's Episcopal Church in San Diego in the spring of 1969 by Robert Johnson. Its treatment of the Grail myth is based on the principles of Jungian psychology. It may be helpful to sketch briefly some of the most important features of that psychology. A central idea in Jung psychology is the concept of individuation. Individuation is a lifelong process in which a person increasingly becomes the whole and complete person God intended him to be. It entails a gradual expansion of his or her consciousness and the increasing capacity of the conscious personality to reflect the total self. The ego may be understood as a center of consciousness, the I within us, that part of ourselves with which we are consciously identified. The self is a name given to the total personality, the potential person who is within us from the beginning and seeks in our lifetime to be recognized and expressed through the ego. I apologize if you hear noises in the background. It's just a happy child running around. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. My buddy has the Smokey and the Bandit one. Wilbur, that is really neat. Mine looked like Kit from Knight Rider, you know? I think Kit was technically like an 81 or 82, but still, it was very, very, very similar. And when I got it, it was black. That is so neat. The individuation process involves the individual and psychological and spiritual problems of great complexity. One difficult problem is always the matter of becoming reconciled with the shadow, the dark, unwanted, dangerous side of ourselves that conflicts with our conscious attitudes and ideals, but with which everyone must somehow overcome. I'm sorry, come to terms if he or she is to become whole. Everybody has a shadow self, everybody. And that's, in my opinion, one of the most harmful aspects of our human condition is the way we try to act like we're something that we're not. We try to fit in and be a part of the in group all the time and deny our true selves. And friendship can be one of the places where, hopefully you can be yourself around your friends. Hopefully they can give you advice, like reel you back in. You have good friends that are grounded and good people like that, right? But in this world of social media, a lot of people don't have that. We don't have like the same face-to-face interaction with people, and it's a lot of it is lost. Hey, Mr. Carey, how are you? Yeah, okay. So I was trying to schedule it for 9:15, and I can only schedule it for like 9 or 10 or 11. I need to figure out how to schedule it for a different time. But uh no, Bobby, I don't know exactly what you mean by that. My spatial awareness is like, when you ask me questions like that, I don't even know how to think about it, honestly. Even more difficult, or I'm sorry, I stopped in the middle of the paragraph. That was really smart. Rejection of the shadow personality results in a division within the personality and the establishment of a state of hostility between consciousness and the unconscious. Acceptance and integration of the shadow personality are always difficult and painful, but result in the establishment of a psychological balance and unity that otherwise would be quite impossible. Diamond was in here talking about how she had a friend who was doing shadow work. Even more difficult. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going back to reading. See, I know that's not, I know I shouldn't like jump so much from my commentary to the book. I'm sorry about that. Even more difficult is the inclusion by man of his unconscious feminine element and by a woman of her unconscious masculine element. One of Jung's great contributions has been his demonstration that each human being is androgynous, that is, combines both masculine and feminine elements, but a man generally identifies with his masculine side and wears his femininity on the inside, so to speak, in a woman conversely. This inner woman in a man, Jung calls it anima, and the inner woman in a man, I'm sorry, the inner man and a woman, the animus. Inclusion of the feminine element within a man is a matter of great psychological subtlety and difficulty. Yet, unless he accomplishes this, he cannot hope to enter into the full mystery of the self within him. The story of the Holy Grail emerged at a time in history when man's feminine side was beginning to reach consciousness in a new way. The story deals primarily with the difficulty and importance of the struggle in a man to make conscious and relate to his inner femininity. The Grail legend is, for this reason, primarily a story of how individuation takes place in a man's psyche. The male reader of this book may find the great landmarks of his psychic life unrolling before him as the story unfolds. Since women have to live with men, however, they too should find the meaning of the Holy Grail legend of great interest, for it will help them understand men at crucial points in their lives. And that's what I mentioned before, like this is definitely for everybody. And there's a lot to be said about psychology that I don't agree with. Like Sigmund Freud and his family, Sigmund Freud's family, really curated what was given to the public of his work. He had a lot of really out there ideas like nobody would agree with, and I would venture to say a lot of people wouldn't agree with the ideas of his that they do know and do agree with if they knew the totality of his work. There's a lot of sick people in psychology, like Alfred. I'm gonna choke on my spit, it makes me so mad. Alfred Kinsey, there's like a statue of him on Indiana University campus. This sick man had children like masturbate in front of him. Like, and he was obviously what anybody would label today as a PDF file, but for some reason if we have a statue of him on a university campus. And like a lot of the foundation of psychology, I think is has been very manipulated. Let's just say that. Jungian is a good one though. Like Jungian psychology, and it can explain so much when it comes to like this battle. And like this is why I've said before, I believe that men should be able to like express themselves however they want and just like whatever kind of man you are, just be that kind of man. And same with women, you know, and if we could just like accept ourselves and not push the gender roles so much, I think a lot more people would be a lot happier. Okay, let me see. Even more difficult is the inclusion by man. Oh, I'm sorry. There. See, I need to keep my finger like on. There is the third problem. The actualization of the self poses a special problem to traditional Christian consciousness. The typical Christian consciousness has been trained for centuries to strive for perfection, the leading of a perfect, blameless life. We are taught, despite the gospel, that ultimately God has no patience with our moral or psychological imperfection or darkness. St. Paul is a special offender in this respect. In many places, he has made it quite clear that his Christian converts are to be pure, blameless, and holy before God without anger, rancor, or lust. The psychology of individuation, however, shows that the goal of this process of becoming whole is not perfection, but completeness. The whole person is never blameless, guiltless, or pure, but is one in whom all sides of himself have been combined inexplicably into a total person. This paradoxical unity of the self, which is like a combination of opposites, life is never this or that, but both this and that, is a secret that cannot be rationally understood or comprehended. Unity is, so to speak, a mystery known only to God. The ego can experience the unity of the self, but never logically comprehend it. That's a neat line. The ego can experience the unity of the self. Language, only by the grace of God can we become whole. Yet at the same time, a person who would be whole must undergo a great pilgrimage and journey, must search, often painfully, for ground and fulfillment of his being. It is this mystery of wholeness, which is both the gift of God and the fruit of great effort on the part of man, that is the great theme of the myth of the Holy Grail. The reader may find his appetite whetted by this book for more reading of this sort. I haven't heard that term quite a long time. That's something you used to hear more, right? Your appetite whetted. Whetted. um, Oh, yeah. I definitely have some good mods to help take care of the weirdos. No, I thought I put in a comment and said hello. I was saying I'd have a field day muting all the weirdos, and I said hello, Mr. Carey. Tony, I didn't see it. Thank you, Bobert. Am I saying that name right? I would love to finish this book with you guys. I appreciate like people letting me know that this is good content because it is kind of it's weird to be reading a book honestly to a screen. But I think we'll also have some good discussions too. Of course. Um, okay. A selected bibliography at the back of the book has suggestions for further reading for the reader who wants more detailed and scientific knowledge of the psychological background to the legend of the Holy Grail. There is Emma Young's volume, The Grail Legend, published by G.P. Putnam's Sons for the C.G. Young Foundation for Analytical Psychology in 1970. The reader will find Mrs. Young's and Dr. Marie Louise von Franz's treatment of the Grail Legend complete and rewarding, although no replacement for the shrewd insights into masculine psychology the present book provides. I'm sorry, I'm tripping over my words. Thanks are in order to the people of St. Paul's who responded to Mr. Johnson's lectures with such warmth and generosity. Mr. Johnson and I are especially grateful to Glenda Taylor, who transcribes the lectures and who wrote the synopsis of the story, to my secretaries, Gertrude Gridley and Eleanor Garner, who prepared the manuscript for publication. Shall we turn now to the story? I felt like I had to read everybody's names, you know, like to be respectful. That was John A. Sanford from St. Paul's Episcopal Church in San Diego. Once again, this book was published in 1972, I believe. So I hope all of these people, or the 1974, their souls are all well. Now we start at chapter one. Once again, for those of you that might be just stepping in, this is a Jungian psychology book. I am not monetizing this stream because I know this is copyrighted content. I think this is really important. These two books have helped me a lot. I've been married for 15 years. I'm not saying like we're perfect or I'm perfect, but like I think one. reason, especially getting married as a 22-year-old girl, I could stay married and successfully and happily, at least most of the time, was because I was as insightful as I was. Once again, like I was raised by somebody who had a PhD in sociology. So it was the same person who like was not a good dad when the older I got. But I guess he gave me a basis for loving to be educated. I'm glad that you are. Remember that when you first mentioned you were going to read, have you read anything else yet? No, I have not read anything else yet, Tony. I've been a bit busy to be able to sit and analyze. I had some free time tonight. Oh, well, I'm glad you had some free time, Tony. Hi, Gru, always. How are you? Sorry if I'm not very responsive. Oh, that's okay, HK. Gru says it's Mr. Carey. I asked some time ago to see all your books in the background. Oh, I remember that, Tony. Hey, Bertha. How are you doing, Bertha? Sabrina Carpenter's new album comes out in 3 hours. Okay, I'm literally so excited. That's cool. I'm excited you guys are excited. I can't I need to be better about listening to music other than the same music I've been listening to since I was a teenager, you know? So chapter 1, I like to always see how long chapters are before I get started. Okay, this is 9 pages. And as you can see, this is very easy and simple to read. Once again, if this interests you at all. Often, when a new era begins in history, a myth for that era springs up at the same time. The myth is a sort of preview of what is to come, and it contains sage advice for coping with the psychological elements of the time. In the myth of Parsifal's search for the Holy Grail, we have such a spiritual prescription for our own time. The Grail myth arose in the 12th century. Many people feel that our modern age began about then, that the ideas, attitudes, and concepts we are living with today had their beginnings in the days when the Grail myth took form. I'm doing good, Bertha. How are you doing, Bertha? Yeah, where is Jesus? Jesus was here in the last live. The theme of the Grail myth was much in evidence in the 12th, 13th, and 14th centuries. One hears echoes of it all over Europe, which, I'm sorry, we will be using the French version, see page 85, which is the earliest written account taken from a poem by, forgive my French, I want to say Cretan. I know that's not right. Creation de Troyes. There is also a German version by Wolfram von Eschenbach. The English version, La Morte de Arthur, comes from the 14th century. By that time, it had been elaborated a great deal. It is enormously complex and has been so editorialized that some of its spontaneous psychological truth has been lost. The French version is simpler, more direct, and nearer to the unconscious, therefore, it is more helpful for our purposes. It is important to remember that a myth is a living thing and exists within every person. You will get the true living form of the myth if you can see it as it spins away inside yourself. The most rewarding thing you can do with this or any myth is to see how it is alive in your own psychological structure. So should I go ahead and read the Holy Grail? I feel like I should read, it said like see page 85. I feel like that's what I should do right now before we continue on with chapter 1. Speak now or forever hold your peace if you believe I shouldn't go ahead and read this. It's a few pages long. This is the 3 pages. The Holy Grail legend. Thanks, Screw. Appendix synopsis of the Grail legend. According to this, that's the name. I really don't. I feel disrespectful, and it's back probably to y'all not pronouncing people's names right. The Holy Grail, the chalice of the Last Supper, is kept within a castle. The king of the castle has been severely wounded and suffers continuously because his wound will not heal. The entire country and its people are in desolation. The king had been wounded early in his adolescence. While wandering in a forest, he had reached in a camp that was empty except for a spit on which a salmon was roasting. He was hungry, so he took a bit of the salmon. He burned his fingers horribly. To assuage the pain, he put his fingers into his mouth and tasted a bit of the salmon. He is called the Fisher King because he was wounded by a fish. He was also wounded in the thighs, so he is no longer productive, and his whole land is no longer productive. The Fisher King lies on a litter and must be carried everywhere, but he is sometimes able to fish, and only then is he happy. The Fisher King presides over the castle where the Grail is kept, but he cannot touch the Grail or be healed by it. The court fool has prophesied that the Fisher King would be healed then when a wholly innocent fool arrives in the court. In an isolated country, a boy lives with his widowed mother, whose name is Heart Sorrow. At first, the boy does not seem to have a name. Much later, he learns that his name is Parsifal. His father had been killed while rescuing a fair maiden, and his 2 brothers had also been killed as knights. His mother had taken him to this faraway country and raised him in primitive circumstances. He wears homespun clothes, has no schooling, asks no questions. He is a simple, naive youth. Early in his adolescence, he sees five knights riding by on horseback. He is dazzled by the knights, their scarlet and gold trappings, their armor, and all their accoutrements. He dashes home to tell his mother that he has seen five gods and wants to leave home to go with them. His mother weeps. She had hoped that he would not suffer the fate of his father and his brothers, but she gives him her blessing in three instructions. He must respect all fair maidens. He is to go daily to church where he will receive all the food he needs, and he is not to ask any questions. Um, oh, thank you guys for hitting the like button. Parsifal goes off to find the knights. He never finds the same five knights, but he has all kinds of adventures. One day he comes to a tent. He had only known a simple hut, so he thinks this is a church his mother had told him about. He sees a fair damsel wearing a ring on her hand, so he obeys his mother's instruction by embracing the damsel, taking her ring, and putting it on his own hand. He sees a table set for a banquet, and thinking it is the food his mother had told him in the church, he eats it, not realizing it is prepared for the damsel's beloved knight. The damsel begs Parsifal to leave because if her knight finds him there, he will kill him. Parsifal goes on his way and soon finds a devastated convent and monastery. He cannot restore them, but he vows to return and raise the spell when he is stronger. Then he meets a red knight who has come from King Arthur's court. Parsifal is dazzled by the knight and tells him that he too wants to be a knight. The red knight tells him to go to Arthur's court, which he does. In this court is a damsel who has not smiled or laughed for 6 years. A legend says that when the best knight in the world comes along, she will smile and laugh again. When she sees Parsifal, she bursts into laughter. The court is impressed. Arthur knights Parsifal, giving him a page, and tells him that he may have the horse and armor of the Red Knight if he can get it. Parsifal finds the Red Knight, kills him, and takes his armor and puts it over his homespun clothing. He finds his way to the castle of Gornemond, who trains him to be a knight. Gornemont gives him two instructions. He must never seduce or be seduced by a woman, and when he reaches the Grail castle, he must ask, "Whom does the Grail serve?" Parsifal goes off and tries to find his mother and help her, but he finds that she had died of a broken heart. Then he meets Blanche Fleur. From this time on, everything he does is in her service. She asks him to conquer the army besieging her castle, which he does, and then he spends the night with her. Um, Vladimir, no, are you? After traveling all of the next day, he meets two women in a boat. One of them, who is fishing, invites Parsifal to stay at his house for the night. When Parsifal reaches this house, he finds himself in a great castle where he is royally welcomed. He learns that the fisherman is a fisher king. He sees a ceremony in which a youth carries a sword that drips blood constantly, in which a maiden carries the grail. At a banquet, the grail is passed about and everyone drinks from it. The fisher king's niece brings a sword, and the king straps it to Parsifal's waist. But Parsifal fails to ask the question Gornemont had told him to ask. The next morning, Parsifal finds that all the people of the castle have vanished. Then the castle itself disappears. He goes on and finds a sorrowful maiden. He learns that her knight had been killed by the jealous knight of the maiden of the tent, so the death was really his fault. When she learns that he has been in the Grail Castle, she berates him for all his sins and tells him that the land and its people will continue to be desolate because he has failed to ask the right question. Later, he again finds the maiden of the tent. She reiterates all his misdeeds and tells him that the sword he had been given will break the first time it will be used in battle, that it can only be mended by the smith who made it, and that after that it will never break again. In the course of his journeys, Parsifal has subdued many knights and sent them back to King Arthur's court. When he had been there before, they had not realized who he was. Arthur sets forth to search for Parsifal so the court can honor him. Parsifal happens to be camping nearby. A falcon attacks three geese and wounds one of them. Its blood on the snow reminds Parsifal of Blanche Fleur, and he falls into a trance. Two of Arthur's men see him and try to persuade him to return to the court, but he unhorses them. A third knight, Gawain, gently persuades him to go to the court with him. Parsifal is received in triumph at the court. But the rejoicing ends when a hideous damsel on a decrepit mule enters and recites all of Parsifal's sins. Then she points a finger at him and says, "It is all your fault." She assigns tasks to all the knights. She tells Parsifal to search for the Grail Castle again, and this time ask the right question. Parsifal goes on through many episodes. Some versions say that he travels for 5 years, others say 20 years. He grows bitter and disillusioned. He does many heroic deeds, but he forgets the church, Blanchefleur, and the Grail Castle. Then one day he meets some pilgrims who ask him why he is armed on Good Friday. He suddenly remembers what he had forgotten. Remorsefully, he goes with the pilgrims to a hermit for confession. The hermit absolves him and tells him to go immediately to the Grail Castle. The poem by Chrétien de Troyes stops there. Many authors tried to finish it. One version says that Parsifal goes to the Grail castle, and this time he asks the right question. Whom does the Grail serve? The answer is given. The Grail serves the Grail King. He is not the Fisher King, but the Grail King, who has lived in the central room of the castle from time immemorial. The Fisher King is healed immediately, and the land and all its people can live in peace and joy. So the rest of the book centers around deconstructing this and the psychological aspects behind that story. And in my opinion, it is really a great reference for anybody. Like I said, if you're not a man, you know men, you love men, unless you're one of those, radical feminists. And I've seen some radical feminists that weren't as radical as some of the radical feminists. I don't want to even throw all those ladies in the same boat, but still. Apparently, "Oh, thank you so much" means thanks and not yeah, not tis not merry. Thank you, Mr. Carey. That's really nice, thank you. So, let's finish with chapter 1. I'm going to try to stop as little as possible. It is about 5 more pages, and then, I can already tell, I think that's a little over 20 pages. I think that's a good limit for me. That's probably gonna be, an hour, or a little less. Okay, I might reread a paragraph. The Grail myth speaks of masculine psychology. We must take everything that goes into the myth as part of man. We will have to cope with the dazzling array of fair damsels, of course. But we must see these two as parts of the masculine psyche. But women will also will be interested in the secrets of the Grail myth, for every woman has to cope with one of these exotic creatures. The male of the species somehow or other as father or husband or son. And so I hope it will be helpful for you to observe the incredible carryings on of the mythological man, Parsifal, and his interior fair maidens. Do any of you listen to Ben Harper? Ben Harper and the Innocent Criminals was his band before he kind of went solo. One of the best Ben Harper songs is called "The Woman in Me," and he's a man. I mean, Ben Harper. um, so yeah, like it's something that I kind of like Peter on the fence, is why am I Peter on the fence? What does that mean? Something I teeter on the fence of saying is like basically like it makes me sad that so many people try so hard to be something that they want to be when if they could just experience their whole true self and be accepted in society as that, we would all be better off. Like we all lose out when people can't be their full true potential, whatever that is, especially if it's like a more feminine man or a more masculine woman. People's true talents can't develop, and then we all lose out as communities. Diamond, hey, I just read a paragraph a few minutes ago about shadow work. This book talks about Jungian psychology, and I remember you mentioned shadow work not too long ago. In Diamond, I was all over Taya's channel today. I'm so glad you brought that up last night. I I'm still like I'm kind of like fangirling her. I'm kind of working up the nerve to leave a comment or say something to her. Oh, thank you. I got this at Bell's. I love that store. I forget what brand it is, but it's like the kind of brand I would probably never buy at a department store, but Bertha is in y'all's walls. Okay, I need to focus. You guys are going to make me laugh too much. Our story begins with the Grail Castle. The Grail Castle is in trouble. The Fisher King, the king of the castle, has been wounded. His wounds are so severe that he cannot live, yet he is incapable of dying. He groans, he cries out, he suffers all of the time. In fact, the whole land is in desolation. The cattle do not reproduce, the crops won't grow, knights are killed, children are orphaned, maidens weep. There is mourning everywhere. All because the Fisher King is wounded. The notion that the welfare of a kingdom depends upon the virility or power of its ruler has been a common one, especially among primitive people. There are still kingdoms in the primitive parts of the world where the king is killed when he can no longer produce offspring. He is simply killed, ceremonially, sometimes slowly, sometimes horribly, because it is thought that the kingdom will not prosper under a weak or ailing king. Now the Grail Castle is in serious trouble because the Fisher King is wounded. The myth tells us how this came about. Years before, early in his adolescence, when the Fisher King was wandering around in the woods, he came upon a camp. All the people of the camp were gone, but there was a spit roasting over the fire was a salmon. The boy naively took a bit of the salmon to eat, which is as natural as anything could be. I agree. I love salmon. I would have definitely done the same thing, right? He was hungry. There was a salmon roasting over the fire, and he took a bit of it. Well, he burned his fingers horribly and dropped the salmon. He put his fingers in his mouth to assuage the burn, and in doing so, got a little bit a taste of the salmon in his mouth, but he was badly wounded. He was then named the Fisher King because he was wounded by a fish. I know that was in the foreword. It is worth looking at the symbolism of this curious set of circumstances, for here we have the first fact of a man's psychology. The salmon is one of the many symbols of Christ. A boy in his early adolescence touches something of the Christ nature within himself, but he touches it too soon, is only wounded by it, and drops it. But notice that he puts his finger in his mouth, gets a little bit of it, and develops a taste that he will never forget. Many psychic wounds in a man become because he touches his Christ nature. That is, his individuation process prematurely, can't handle it, doesn't see it through, and is wounded by this. All men are Fisher Kings. Every boy has naively blundered into something that is too big for him, gotten halfway through, realized that he couldn't handle it, and collapsed. Then he is wounded, he is hurt terribly, and he goes off to lick his wounds. A certain bitterness arises in the boy because he tries so hard and actually touches his salmon, his individuation, yet he cannot hold it. It only burns him. A certain bitterness arises in the boy because he tries so hard and actually touches his individuation, yet he cannot hold it. It only burns him. If you are to understand any young man past puberty, you must understand this about him. Virtually every boy has to have the Fisher King wound. It is what the church called the Felix culpa, the happy fault, the happy woundedness. It is painful to watch a young man become aware that the world, oh my God, I'm sorry. I have three sons. So if I shed a tear, I'm sorry. It reminds me of my sons. It is painful to watch a young man become aware that the world is not just joy and happiness, to watch the disintegration of his childlike beauty, faith, and optimism. This is regrettable but necessary. If we are not cast out of the Garden of Eden, there can be no heavenly Jerusalem. And the Catholic liturgy, I know, I think I'm pronouncing that wrong. For Holy Saturday evening, there is a beautiful passage. Oh, happy fall that was the occasion for so sublime a redemption. The Fisher King wound may coincide with a specific event, an injustice, such as when one was accused of something one didn't do. I recall from Young's autobiography that once his professor read all of Young's classmates' papers in the order of their merit, but didn't read Young's at all. His professor said, "There's one paper here that is by far the best, but it is obviously a forgery. If I could find the book, I would have him expelled." Young had worked hard on that paper, and it was his work. He never trusted that man, or perhaps even the whole schooling process after that. This was a Fisher King wound for Young. According to tradition, there are potentially three stages of psychological development for a man. The archetypal pattern is that one that goes from the unconscious perfection of childhood, if one is so lucky, really, to the conscious imperfection of middle life, to the conscious perfection of old age. One moves from an innocent wholeness in which the inner world and the outer world are united to a separation and differentiation between the inner and outer worlds with an accompanying sense of life's duality. And then hopefully at last to Satori or enlightenment, a conscious reconciliation of the inner and outer once again in harmonious wholeness. We are now talking about the boy's development from stage one to stage two. One has no right even to talk about the last stage until he has accomplished a second one. It is no good to talk about the oneness of the universe until one is aware of the separateness of the universe. We can do all kinds of mental acrobatics and talk about the unity of all things, which happen to be true, but we haven't a chance of functioning in that matter until we have succeeded in differentiating the inner and outer worlds. Another way of saying the same thing is that we have to get out of the Garden of Eden before we can even start for the heavenly Jerusalem, even though they are the same place. The man's first step out of Eden into the pain of duality gives him his Fisher King wound. The Fisher King wound often disturbs the boy's relationship with other people around him. When a boy makes his first steps towards individuation, when he first touches a salmon, he begins to be somebody in his own right, but that process is only partly accomplished. That means that he is jarred out of the ordinary collective. He is no longer a sheep in the herd. His collective relationship with other people in life is destroyed, but he hasn't gone far enough so that he is not yet an individual who can relate to life in a whole way. The English expression is that he has fallen between two stools. He is neither here nor there. So, insofar as one is a Fisher King, one does not relate well. Alienation is a current term for it. We are an alienated people, an existentially lonely people. We have the Fisher King wound. Sorry. We are an alienated people, an existentially lonely people. We have the Fisher King wound. I think it's even more true now, 50 years later, that sentiment. And like, I'm not making fun of this, but like the stereotypical like angry teenager, that teenage angst and rebellion that like everybody experiences, right? Like we all go through that. You just think a lot about the young people in your lives and everything that they're going through, and when they, it's often kind of simplified by saying we're going crazy, our frontal lobe isn't developed, our hormones are literally making us go crazy. It's even like deeper than that. Like we're trying to find ourselves, and that is like a cheesy way of saying it. Yes, I need to look into shadow work so much more, Diamond. Don't we all? Don't we all? Or a lot of us do. I'm going to mention you to Taya the next time I get with her, if that's okay. Of course, that's okay. Her friends Brandy and her daughter Sarah are in Somerset now. Sometimes Taya will take off and go visit them for a while. Cool. We just had to take our car to the Honda in Somerset. There was a recall on my like 13-year-old car. Oh, okay. I guess I just gave away what I drive. Whatever. And they had over $1,000 worth of work done. I mean, I already kind of gave away what I drove when I said I drive a brand of car that is notorious for being able to have hundreds of thousands of miles. But it was like they said, okay, so this other stuff needs to be done. We can't. It won't pass the inspection unless we do it too. And it's over $1,000 of work we got done for free. That was such a blessing. But yeah, I'm gonna drive that car. But yes, Diamond, feel free to like anything I've said on my channel, you know what I mean, Diamond? Like tell her anything and everything. I would love to have a conversation with her, at least to be able to tell her woman to woman thank you for what she's doing. Fair warning to anyone lurking and thinking about trolling or making mean comments, please don't do it. This is an adult respectful chat. Please be kind and courteous. Diamond appreciates that. Thank you, Mr. Carey. Oh, you're good. I'm leaving it at playing, but had to step away from the computer for a second, forcing myself to wash dishes. Oh, yeah. If you want to mention that I sent you over in Taya's channel, say either Diamond. Oh, yeah. I almost commented under one of your comments. I will. I will definitely let her know you sent me, Diamond. Love you too, Paul. Honda, Toyota, Subaru. True. Subaru is a kind of car I've never had, but like I've always, I don't know why. Like I don't like the way a lot of them look, but for some reason I like them. Okay, anyways. Read a typical modern novel, and you will find that it revolves around the subject of the lostness and the loneliness of the alienated man. It is a great subject now, for we are all Fisher Kings. You have only to walk down the street and look at the faces to see the countenance of the Fisher King. We are all wounded, and it shows. This myth also tells us that the Fisher King is wounded in the thigh. You may remember from the Bible that when Jacob wrestled with the angel, he was wounded in the thigh. The wound in the thigh means that the man is wounded sexually. One frank version of the Grail myth has it that the Fisher King was wounded by an arrow that transfixed both testicles. Wow, ouch. But it is not quite adequate simply to say it is a sexual wound. It is a wound to his maleness, his generative capacity, his ability to create. That is why the land of the Fisher King is no longer productive, why the cattle won't bear, the crops won't produce. The whole realm is wounded in its generative capacity. I doubt if there is a woman in the world who has not had to stand by watching her man anguish in his Fisher King aspect. She may be the one who notices, even before the man himself is aware of it, that there is a suffering and a haunting sense of injury and incompleteness in her man. A man suffering in this way is often driven to do idiotic things to cure the wound he carries and ease his this desperation that follows him day and night, week in and week out. Once again, nervous. I shouldn't have smiled at that. Usually he seeks an unconscious solution outside of himself, complaining about his work, buying a new car, even getting a new wife, all of which can be his unconscious attempt to heal himself of the Fisher King wound. So this is a Fisher King wound. The Fisher King lies in a litter and is carried wherever he goes. He groans, he cries, he is in travail. The only time he is happy is when he is fishing. Don't take this too literally. It isn't that the only thing that will cure a man is to go fishing. Rather, fishing is itself a symbol for working with the unconscious, struggling to make conscious the aborted individuation process he stumbled into in his early teens. If a man can relate to the unconscious again, it will help him, for his ultimate healing comes only when he completes the process he inadvertently started as a youth. Excuse me, guys. I need to take a drink. I'll read your comments soon, Diamond. The Fisher King presides over the Grail Castle, where the Holy Grail, the chalice from the Last Supper, is kept. Excuse me. But we are told that the Fisher King cannot touch the Grail because of his wound. He cannot be nourished by the Grail, nor be made whole by it, although it is right there in his castle. How many times have women said to their men, "Look at all the good things you have. You have the best job you have ever had in your life. Our income is better than ever. We have two cars. We have 2 and sometimes 3-day weekends. Why can't you be happy? The girl is at hand. Why can't you be happy?" I'm sorry. The man is too inarticulate to reply, "Because I am a Fisher King and I am wounded and cannot touch any of this happiness." It is an added hurt that happiness is close at hand but untouchable. The mere fact he has all the things that should make him happy cannot heal the Fisher King's condition, for he suffers from the inability to touch the goodness or happiness already at hand. Let us continue our story. The court fool, and there is a fool in every good court, had prophesied long before that the Fisher King wound would be healed when a wholly innocent fool arrived in the court. Any good medieval court would understand this. They wouldn't be the least bit disturbed that an innocent fool or you should be the solution to the problem. So the people of the kingdom wait daily for the innocent fool to arrive and heal their king. Here, the myth is telling us that it is the naive part of a man that will heal him and cure him of his Fisher King wound. It suggests that if a man is to be cured, he must find something in himself about the same age and about the same mentality as he was when he was wounded. It also tells us why the Fisher King cannot heal himself and why when he goes fishing, it eases his pain but does not cure him. For a man is to be truly healed, he must allow something entirely different in himself to enter into his consciousness and change him. He cannot be healed if he remains in the old Fisher King consciousness no matter what he does. That is why the young fool part of him must enter his life if he is to be cured. In my consulting room, a man will sometimes bark at me when I prescribe something strange or difficult for him. What do you think I am, a fool? And I say, well, it would help. For it is an innocent fool and often foolish thing in a man that will begin the cure for him. A man must consent to this. He must be humble enough to look to the young, innocent, adolescent, foolish part of himself to find the beginning of the cure for the Fisher King wound. Think that is really great. And I want to reread this paragraph. Here, the myth is telling us that it is the naive part of a man that will heal him and cure him of his Fisher King wound. It suggests that if a man is to be cured, he must find something in himself about the same age and about the same mentality as he was when he was wounded. It also tells us why the Fisher King cannot heal himself and why when he goes fishing, it eases his pain but does not cure him. For a man is to be truly healed, he must allow something entirely different in himself to enter into his consciousness and change him. He cannot be healed if he remains old Fisher King consciousness no matter what he does. That is why the young full part of himself must enter his life if he is to be cured. Yeah, I think there's so many things that come to mind. Like that's why like the Bible says to love God like a child, like to be childlike, just like misogyny is deep rooted and like hating all feminine things and like thinking everything that a woman does is bad because you hate on women so bad. That's why that comes into play. And it's like because children are so disrespected, so written off, like they're not even human to some other humans. They to be like them is an insult, right? It's the same thing with womanhood. Okay, I want to read. Oh, HK, thank you. That's very sweet. I just saw your comment. Taya is like me. We don't have good internet service here, and also Taya and I both don't have good stuff to record with and make videos with yet. The computer I use isn't mine, but I've also not set nothing up on YouTube yet, like doing podcasts, like interviews, and I'm not paying for StreamYard. Right, Diamond? We have a computer, but then I don't really have a computer desk, but like I'd figure something out. I'd put it on my dining room table if I have to, but I definitely want to get the internet soon and do StreamYards. I am so excited about that, but I definitely need to get my first YouTube check before I do that myself. There's a free version of StreamYard, Mr. Carey? Okay, I didn't know that. Um, I'm gonna call you Pigeon. Livid Levitatin Pigeon. I've always been baffled by guys who have to prove their masculinity. I grew up with girl cousins dressing me up for fashion shows, done my nails, wore makeup for fun. I still am straight blue collar guy. Oh, I love hearing that. Yeah, I've talked a lot about that. There was this grandma like a few weeks ago, it went viral, her getting all mad over them painting her grandson's nails. And I do understand not wanting chemicals on your toddler's nails, but the main point was like she even said you're gonna turn him gay, you're gonna turn him trans. And once again, I'm a centrist. Like I do understand the concern to a certain point with the trans stuff. Okay, I'm okay. I try so hard not to go there, guys. But like I'm not saying anything against those people. I'm saying when it comes to a child's development and possibly confusing them, I've seen stories where the mom is like, "Are you a boy or a girl today? Are you a boy or a girl today?" And like the kid's not answering and she's like, "Are you a boy or a girl today?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, that can't be healthy, right?" But yeah, to be in touch with your inner child is very important. Make sure I'm getting okay, I read that. Howdy, how are you this evening? I'm doing well, Pigeon. How are you? The documentary she's under contract for. Yeah, I do understand that. I'm glad you've been having a good week, Pigeon. I'm a Fisher King, but had a son with a woman who is the complete opposite, and I feel stuck tied to her, even though it feels my life is totally ruined with her Earth brain. I'm so sorry to hear that. So you're like in a relationship. currently, I don't know if you mean you feel stuck with her because you have a child with her. You know, but I don't wanna, like, make promises for somebody else, but people can always change. I just hope for you that something changes, you know? That's how I was raised as a child. Children are to be seen, not heard. It kinda makes me mad now, though, because my mom treats me more like a child than the grandchildren, but I've not spoke to either of my parents since last fall. Diamond, I'm in no contact with both of my parents too, Greg. I totally get you, and, like, my mom's a great grandma. Like, even her husband will admit that, like, she's a better grandma than she was mother, and I'm glad for my kids' sake, right? But, like, she just cannot be nice to me. Chapter 2 is fairly short. I feel like we could maybe get into chapter 2. Is that okay with you guys? Um, Hi, Hugo. How are you doing? Thank you, Diamond. I think I remember Hugo, right? But yes, if we could raise children like human beings, like treating them like on their level. You can I don't believe in like literally treating them like adults in every single aspect, but uh respect their boundaries. I have one child who was just not as touchy-feely and very touchy-feely. I'd be like hugging and kissing my kids all day long, and he was around like the age of 8. I was like, you don't really like it. And like I can tell, and I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. And if you're ever uncomfortable because of that, it's completely okay to tell somebody you don't want them in your personal space, even your mother. Can we like make an agreement that like I can hug and kiss you goodnight, and I promise, like, besides special stuff or whatever, and or if you ask for it, I'll try not to be so like touchy feely, huggy kissy. Anyways, oh, Jay Hardy, hey, how are you, Jay Hardy? I'm reading from this book. Um, I If you're interested in this next chapter that I'm reading, I suggest that you do watch the video from the beginning, Jay Hardy. If you're interested in it, do whatever you want. But Jay Hardy has been a very big supporter this past week. I really appreciate you, Jay Hardy. And it was funny, this comment that they left talking about their ADHD and how like, I feel so seen. And that is amazing as somebody who's extremely introverted. And I've always had like one friend, which I'm not complaining about. I prefer it that way. I never really had a friend group. It was always just like me and one other introvert, and we'd even like eat lunch in the hallway, avoid the cafeteria and weird stuff like that. But anyways, I know I'm too much for people. I know I've turned a lot of people off with the way I can start talking and keep talking for almost 3 hours and just go from subject to subject. So it's nice to have a platform to be able to like make true connections. It's not just about getting attention. I really appreciate you guys. My ex-wife since last October texted me today that she's going to introduce our 3 kids to someone she's been seeing. Not sure what to say or say nothing. Earth brain, appreciate what you if it's healthy. If it's not healthy, you always have options. Tony said all that. Lucky Luciano, you have a beautiful voice. Thank you, Lucky. What do you think about the church shooting poor children? The Catholic school, is that what you're talking about, Hugo? Is just absolutely devastating. I saw this little boy that he's just the way. And I know somebody out there is going to say crisis actor. Once again, I'm a centrist. I get it, but like it's just devastating. These kids educated are older too still decided they go to school, and like trust me, every year I kind of hope that they are not. It makes me feel so unsafe. But it's the most cowardly thing a person could do. I just don't get it. I don't get that mentality, wanting to take it out on children. It's so evil. Tony, just make sure your kids dress well when she introduces them to someone she's seeing. Oh, Tony, I'm sorry. I wanted to respond to Tony too. It's polite that she's telling you, but I know that must be tough. I'm sorry, Tony. It also, a lot of it is like your kids' ages, like you can't really, unless there is an agreement already set in place, is there's not much you can do to stop it, right? But like, I would just like to hope to think she's been with this person for a significant amount of time, and she's not going to be introducing them to a new person every year. Oh, it's so sad. That was sad. How can a human being do such a thing to kids? Right. It's really awful. And I watched somebody's video, I forget his name. It was a very large gun channel here on YouTube, and he said he was mentioned in the shooter's manifesto. and it really messed him up, and I felt for that man, it's like we believe in the Second Amendment, and like it's such a shame what is coming of our country. Like there used to be rifle clubs and boys would bring their rifles to school with them and clean them together, and it's like we've gotten so far away from that, and it's like I don't blame people for it's just so hard in our country. There's no easy answers. There's more guns than there are people. It's not going to be easy to remedy the situation unless we really focus on mental health. And it's never, I hate to be so pessimistic. I don't think that's ever going to be a thing, unfortunately. We don't even care about our veterans, the people that like risked it all for all of us. That's all right. Just trying to throw some advice to Earth Brain. Appreciate you. Oh, Tony, I appreciate you being open. Hi from Greece and good morning, Julie. You always say good morning, Julie. I'm Lydia. Oh, it's funny to me. Nick. I just call you Nick. Demonic. Wish you knew who the YouTuber was that said that or was mentioned. Um, um, well, I remember it was a 6-minute long video. It was a short video. He had like 1,000,000 or 2,000,000 subs, but let's read the second chapter. I feel like, I don't know, maybe I've been chatting too long. Maybe I should just put this down for now. Because anybody that's like really listening to this, because I'm trying to keep in mind like people that might be replaying this, they're not going to be here for me sitting here chatting. Okay, so let's just say I'm all done reading the book. We read the introduction, the Grail, Holy Grail legend, and the first chapter, which was a little over 20 pages. And if we do that, 2, 4, 6, 8, we can get this done in a week easily if I, do a live every other day or so about it. Eh, If this like really turns into a thing, I will remake this to where it is less of me chit chatting with the live. But I I just had an emotional day, so it's funny. I decided to read a psychology book on the live. I quit my job last night. I had put my 2 weeks in already, so it's not like I didn't know I was leaving, but I like abruptly quit my job because I just can't hang, and that's why I put the 2 weeks in, right? And made me sad, and a few of the girls texting me, and it's just like made me sad. And then one of them texted me today, and it's just been crying a lot. I think I found a channel what a dude really thinks he said it on a live, and he seems to be crazy that he's going to marry Ariana Grande. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that's sad. So I think it's really important to focus on uh, psychology. And a lot of people, like I was thinking about Tim, that subscriber I haven't seen him in a little while. Hopefully, we see him soon. People who are searching for answers, searching for help. I I'm not saying any medical advice or I'm not giving any advice in any kind of psychological way or anything, but I really do believe this is the root of the problem. Jungian psychology, it will not only help you understand yourself, it's like everybody around you. And I was actually going to start with the she because probably because I'm a she, but then I realized when I looked at my analytics, I've actually for a while, it was like more 50-50. I've actually had more male viewers as of late. So I thought like this would be beneficial for everybody watching my channel like 10 times over. Like the male loneliness epidemic, um, I don't wanna make light of that. Okay, I do think some of it are, like, mean incels that, like, don't deserve anybody, frankly, and it is, like, natural selection taking place. I don't believe all incels are in the same boat, though, and I don't believe all men that consider themselves to be lonely deserve it or something like that, and so I'm really hoping to help some people with this. You do have a playlist, don't you? Make sure to list your lives in your playlist. Yeah, Diamond, you are so helpful. You are like a super helpful YouTube friend. I need to make playlists. I still need to do more for my memberships too. Anna gifted 10 memberships the other night. That was so sweet of her. That's okay. Crying helps. Holding it in makes it worse. Accept the emotion, let it run its course, and then know that everything will be okay. I would ask what you were doing, but not if it brings you pain to think about it. Yeah, no, that's true, Tony, and I really do agree with you. It's just like a lot of crying. It's like no matter I didn't feel that great and I was in bed a lot. And I've been transparent about this before. I started taking kratom. It's a dried plant, but it is it works on your opiate receptors. So I didn't start taking kratom as a means to get high, but I took it to work the 10-hour shifts I was working. They say it's not addictive. It is addictive. If you start taking kratom every day, you will have withdrawal symptoms. I've never withdrawn from anything physically in my life but kratom before my surgery. So I swore it off, like I wasn't going to take it after my surgery. I did. As soon as my pain medicine wore out for my surgery, I had a painful skin infection. So I say all that to say, I would not recommend kratom use for anybody unless you really are dealing with chronic pain. I won't fault anybody for reaching out for it. It's not worth it. It has caused me more issues, I feel like. Now I'm having trouble sleeping. But yeah, I do agree with Tony. It's important to process your emotions. And I one of my favorite sayings is lack of expression is depression. And that's why it's so great to have you guys to talk to. I started off with more male viewers and it went 50-50. Now it's more older female viewers. That's interesting, Diamond. Diamond is seriously smart and helpful. She really is, Mr. Carey. I used to take kratom in the past. I used it for work, for also energy, and for strength. Lifting pallets were like others, and yes, it did become addictive. Haven't had any for a couple years now. Oh, good for you, Tony. And thank you also for your transparency. It definitely would make lifting pallets a lot easier. And that's one thing I was looking forward to with this job. Unfortunately, the job my husband had set in place, he can go to earlier, so we're not really missing that much work in the big scheme of things. Not to be mean, you all, but you have to watch doing all caps. If she has Nightbot, the bot will put you in timeout. The bots don't like caps. Oh, Diamond, that's really helpful. That's not to be mean. Okay, Diamond, I also wanted to like last night when you said, and I'm not trying to call you out. I don't want you to feel like you can't say anything around me. You said something like, I hope this doesn't make you mad. And you started talking about dresses. And I was just wondering, were you thinking that I might think that you were oppressed if you dressed in nothing but dresses or something along those lines? Because I don't blame you, all the things I've said about like some Amish people and everything. But I just wanted you to know, like, no, I truly do believe like feminism is about a woman's choice. And if you choose to dress like conservatively and even, like an Amish person, that's completely fine. If that's your choice, it just shouldn't be like forced upon you. That's all. I wanted to say that. You are not dumb, Diamond. No, don't say that. You're not allowed to say that in my chat, Diamond. I don't feel lonely. I have God. He has filled every void in my heart. Oh, that's nice, Joe Schmo. And I didn't know that about the caps lock, Diamond. So thank you. I've been lucky. Just the devil's lettuce works for me for everything. Yeah, I know a veteran has to use all caps because of their eyes. Oh, that's a good point. Zombie guy, I don't make quesadillas nearly as much as my husband, but yeah, I mean, we're a pretty big quesadilla making family. He just fried cod tonight, and we had fried fish tacos. That was really yummy. And I diced up some cucumbers to put on it. So it was like fried fish, cucumber, shredded cheese. We didn't have any lettuce, but that cucumber really helped with that. And then guacamole, sour cream. We love I know it's not super authentic Mexican food, what a lot of people call Mexican around here. I like really authentic Mexican food too, like the radishes and cilantro. HK loves quesadillas. Yes, it was very nice, zombie. Are you craving quesadillas? It's a funny question, but I like the random questions. It isn't, I used to have, like, stage fright so bad, I would never think when I was younger that I'd be doing something like this. You're craving them, and I mentioned this before, there was a TGI Friday dish that they discontinued, and my husband was like, "Oh my gosh," like, this was back when we went out to restaurants a lot more as a young family, when we could afford to. Mm, it was like a Mediterranean quesadilla with balsamic glaze vinaigrette or something, it was so good. Yeah, that's basically what I was thinking cult like, which when I get to make the time and do the vid about women in dresses or something along the lines, I will be talking about it in a cult way. Okay, Diamond, I get what you're saying. Yeah, definitely if it's the rules of some higher up, some individual you're following and you have to dress the way that they say, that's definitely oppressive. I heard kratom was gas station Vicodin. I don't know how to say your name looks like a grem or is that supposed to be a cat or a gremlin? It's so cute. That's a good way to describe it, although I don't know if I've ever taken Vicodin before, but you take it at low doses, you're really not gonna feel it that much, it's more stimulating, but at the higher doses, it is going to give you more of an opiate effect. No quesadillas, eat kebab, Lucky. It will fill you. Fatih said. Oh, I do like yeah, I would love to eat kebabs every day if I could. Marinating meat, that's the trick. Anybody in there is trying to get more into cooking, making more food at home, making it more satiating at home, like you really need to marinate your meat. I always liked lamb, and then I found it the past like few times I got it, it's kind of gamey to me. Like I know lamb is it's always been like that, but for some reason I liked it before and now I'm like not liking it as much. But I marinated it. Gosh, I can't remember what the marinade was, but it made that lamb so good. And I think that's the trick to lamb. I work as a table games card handler. Won't let me put the word that starts with D. I'm noticing um dealer. Is that what it is? Um, Goblin dude. You know, Albanian pita filled with goat cheese. Yes. Oh, that sounds really good, Fatih. Yeah, I would love that. I love feta goat cheese. Hold on. Is feta goat cheese? Feta is goat cheese, right? I'm blanking. Yeah, Tony's a dealer. I won't let you, anybody know you're a dealer, Tony. But that's a neat job. Do you like that? And I'm gonna assume you work in a casino, right? That would be fun if you're a people person. I'm like mixed with that. I used to love to be around people all day long. Um, I don't think feta is goat cheese. Feta is just okay. I'm sorry. Why did I assume feta was goat cheese? I think I like goat cheese. I was told by other YouTubers not to list your shorts, but I decided to anyways because that's what most of my YouTube channel has been so far, and I'm not going to be monetized by the time my anniversary month in October. Yeah, I mean, I didn't try consistently, but it took me almost 7 years, and keep with it. Yeah, it won't let me put the other D word. It thinks it must be referencing to, yeah, casino, brand new building transferred to you last week. Oh, that sounds nice. I drove by a distillery they're building. Oh my gosh, I need to show you guys this distillery. It's crazy looking. It's beautiful. It's just small town Kentucky. It's a town of like 2,000 people, and it's just you'll have to see it. I'm gonna say it's like this glass building. It's so beautiful. There's like towers of glass so you can see right through to the equipment. It's gonna be really neat. But it also makes me kind of sad that like the state we're in and like there's so much money in industries like alcohol and adult media and shows how bad off people are really because you're a silly goose. Jay Hardy's still in here. I'm a GC from UT. So you're what from Utah? What is a GC? Can somebody tell me? I have to know. I have to know what one of my best supporters is. It's so funny, all the acronyms and stuff that all the slang. It's like every week my kid is telling me a new slang word. General contractor. Okay, thank you, HK. Oh, that's awesome, Jay Hardy. Good for you. I bet you do a good job. We need good, honest people. And it's still houses being built around here. Like I'm just assuming, I don't know if you do residential or not, but there are still like anybody that's like looking to build a house somewhere. I often hear people say builders won't build like these palatial homes that they'll only make money if and they do that. I see plenty of like 1,200, 1,300 square foot brand new construction homes built by like these family and businesses. I would venture to say they take pride in their work. I don't know for sure. You should make a vid about Short Creek sometime. I love it, but don't hardly ever get to go in that direction much no more. What is Short Creek, Diamond? Diamond, me and you need to email. If you don't mind, do you have your email on your channel, Diamond? I need to talk to you privately. Grand Cyclops, LOL. Oh gosh, what Short Creek? HK wants to know. Long drive home, but nice to listen to. Oh, thank you, Jay Hardy. Yeah, I really do like I've never seen somebody that has a screen name cry, and I don't know what to call you because your screen name is a graphic. Residential remodeling mostly. Oh, that's cool, Jay Hardy. I love design. In another life, I was really into architecture. In school, I was in the gifted and talented classes, big surprise, right? This this is the kind of thing that makes me sad. Like all kids should have had this. It shouldn't have just been the gifted and talented kids. But once a year, we would build bridges with toothpicks and glue, and it was really cool. Like you had to everything cost a certain amount, and you had X amount of funds, and so, I loved building those bridges, and whoever won was whose bridge could hold the most weight, and because of a teacher scolding me for being bad in math, I took a back seat, and my I feel like she really was, like, hampered my ability to do math, I'm not kidding, like, she was such a bitch. And and I'm not perfect. I like homeschooled my kids. It was so hard to get my oldest son. I shouldn't tell their business. Some math things were really difficult, and so nobody's perfect, but she didn't have to write my name on the blackboard and say, I'm not going to say who failed math, but I'm going to say nobody's ever failed my math class before. And whoever does fail it from now on is going to have their name written on the board. But I'm not going to say who it is. I'm just going to write their name on the board. What? What? And when we were in high school, we asked her to come visit us because, like, once again, we were in these classes for years together, and she refused. Like, she didn't want to come visit us in high school. Anyways, it was like, her name is just I don't know, if you knew her name, it's like a livestock animal. Anyways, yeah, it can be interesting. We get verbally abused though constantly. The money makes up for it, so just keep eyes on the paycheck. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Tony. I bet there's a lot of intoxicated people, especially whether or not they're intoxicated. They probably got all worked up over their money, right? I'm not sure. I've never logged out of YouTube since I made it, Diamond said. So I also have always been really into like remodeling and Jay Hardy, you'll probably be interested. I need to finish this video where it show our shed conversion. It really was a beautiful little shed conversion. We put marmoleum floors. If you don't know what marmoleum is, it's like the nicest, most eco-friendly, clean, laminated flooring. It's made in like Norway or something, and it's got cork backing. And anyways, my husband did the work. He did a great job, like learning it all himself. And the first time he did drywall, and we would love to do a little project. I talk all the time. I would love to have on our property like a project going on to help somebody else get a home. If somebody donated, or if we could set something up, if somebody, I just throw this out to the universe. I'm not trying to get something just to get it for free. It's just like I do believe I was given this platform to network for a reason. And if we had the ability to fix up a single wide trailer, it would be easy to do. With the YouTube money, the whole point is I couldn't make it come out of pocket, but with the advantages and networking of YouTube, I think that we could make something happen. And if everybody that could do that did, we might start to solve the housing crisis. Diamond's friend Taya, she is trying to make this community for women in recovery, and I just think that's a beautiful thing. I would love to be a part of making communities for people on the autism spectrum and people with other disabilities. I a lot of us have children. We don't know what their lives are going to be like after we're gone. Short Creek is in between London and Somerset. I believe it's the shortest creek in the USA, but oh, Diamond, I have seen that before. Thank you so much. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like a crazy blue, right? It's beautiful. Yes, thank you for reminding me about that, Diamond. Oh my gosh. There's a lot of little places like that in Kentucky. I wanna take you all. Now that I'm unemployed, it should be easier. In the fall time, it's gonna be so beautiful. Diamond, you are so helpful. If you said if you win the lottery, you'll help us. I owe you. I don't know why I'm bringing you all into it. Yeah, I get blamed for things going wrong. I get blamed for things going right. I'm just like, dude, I'm just pulling out the cards. That's funny, Tony. Jay Hardy asked what it's called. What are you talking about, Jay Hardy? I'm sorry, I want to answer your question. I'm so bad about that stuff. It looks very similar to the creek video you posted when you went somewhere a while back. There's a tunnel linked to and the family owned, but the public knows about it and visits all the time. Right. I wonder if it's that same Carvars. I'm probably saying that word wrong, where it's like, oh, it's so beautiful. It's like a very unique blue because of the spring fed water coming from deep underground. HK, quit asking people for stuff, HK. I'm gonna get blocked. The flooring. I ordered it. We ordered it from Walmart.com, but the brand is Marmoleum. That's like the brand. I'm pretty sure that's a name brand. And they make, of course, all sorts of finishes or whatever. We got the vinyl plank flooring, and I wouldn't have spent all that money. I think it's $2,000, $3,000 to for the flooring for the 700-ish square foot house, which isn't that bad for such nice flooring. We got it on clearance, so it was usually that probably would have been 1,000 or two more. But I was all about N my ideal off-grid home would be marmoleum flooring or, traditional, like, bamboo. I know hardwood is harder to take care of. I just want all natural substances. I would love to have, like, cedar plank walls and natural flooring. I would love that. One day. There's also a huge Easter Bunny statue in Somerset, just something different to see. I didn't know there was an Easter Bunny statue in Somerset. I've been there a lot to Instacart. There's those 2 Krogers, so it's kind of a sweet spot to Instacart. Mr. Carey, I changed my name. I'm formerly Uncle Incel. I was born in Adair County, LOL. I thought I remembered your avatar, Uncle Incel. Good evening, comfy clothes. How are you doing? I remember you. How are you? How is Indianapolis? I'm sorry. You said where you were in the last live, so I hope that's okay. I said that. See, I don't want to like say anybody's business that don't want it out there. Uncle, oh hey, I'm in Pulaski now. I grew up in Campbellsville from 92 until 2005. Diamond. Also, Lily is in between London and Somerset. They have a community center, and around that area is so beautiful. Rolling fields reminds me of Little House on the Prairie. Yes, yes. I think you'd really like it around where we live too. Well, I know you got kids in school. Maybe when your kids are done with school, we can get you more out towards that way, Diamond. Oh, you said thank you. I'm glad you're doing well, comfy clothes. I'm good. I did quit my job last night. I had already put my 2 weeks notice in, so it wasn't like I wasn't already 1 foot out the door, but I quit because I got annoyed by a coworker wanting to like push, we made production and he's being a jerk about like having to like push us. That's why I put my 2 weeks in because I can't keep making twice as many parts as I'm used to? So I'm glad overall, but it's been a lot to process. I've been processing today. It's been coming in waves, and I weeded a pumpkin patch and like hurt my thumb. But besides that, I'm doing really well. And at least now I don't have to go to work. And one of us works full time, only one of us because of our 8-year-old son who is homeschooled. It's all going to work out for the best. We always have the goal of trying to put him in school, and every year we consider it, and we're like, oh, there's just not like enough support. He's not I don't wanna say up to par. I just don't feel like it would be a good fit for him or anybody involved at this point. I am not a doctor, but yeah, so my husband already had a job lined up when I put my 2 weeks in, and then they pushed his start date sooner so he can start sooner. So all is well. Diamond, around Somerset, there's a place called Ferguson. Their places actually sells produce super cheap. Actually, those places go through an auction in Ohio and bring it back to Kentucky. It is the cheapest place. Well, geez, keep them coming, Diamond. Ferguson food. She is now at home. She's now an at-home mom. Yes, Mr. Carey. My son is on homebound as well. Oh, comfy clothes. Okay. So you know what it's like. They said that was like full. He already entered the district as a homeschool kid, and like I was trying to get him in there like anyway, and then they said that was full. Oh, it's just like I hope all kids in those situations are, in good situations. I know mine is. I know comfy clothes is like, but it's just like when I hear like those services are full. Like, oh, it's just so sad. Around my parents used to do farmers market, which they still do, but we're not speaking. But I used to go with them, so I know all the places in Kentucky and Virginia for produce. They would let them do. Oh, that's really cool, Diamond. I would like to make a live about no contact with parents. He does a lot better on homebound. Good, comfy clothes. I'm good. I'm glad to hear that. My older sons were home educated and they decided to go to school. It was actually like the 2020, all the stuff that happened around then. They shut down the libraries. Like there was nothing for us to do. They got really bored because they were used to getting out more, even though of course they were at home more than of course they were homeschooled, but we did do a lot of activities. Louisville is a fantastic city. Oh my gosh. I'm sure there's a lot of, and I know you didn't ask comfy clothes, but there might be some good, like nobody's gonna like ask you, like, is your kid homeschooled? Like, but there might be good field trip groups so you can take them and do, I'm assuming him, you said he, right? Yes, to do activities very cheaply because it's like something that might be $20 a ticket, but it'll be like $2 because you're a part of a big group. And just if you haven't looked into that, oh my gosh, we've been to so many activities we could have never afforded otherwise if it wasn't for field trip groups. Through the through the caca years for produce. What is that, Diamond? Yes, his nerves get so tore up with these active shooter drills. It's ridiculous the fear and propaganda they push on children. Comfy clothes. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, comfy clothes. No, that is nothing that any child should have put on their play. Okay. So I read from this book, Comfy Clothes. If you're interested at all, especially as somebody with a male child, of course, uh, if you're interested in watching it from the beginning, once, whenever you feel like it. But oh, it's so sad. It talks about how men's wound, the fisherman's wound is what they call it. Like a man encounters something, it's basically like too much for him at that age, and he recoils. And this is like an internal wound. Basically, like the trauma that happens to a young person and sticks with them is something they have to overcome. And then you think of all this trauma that all these kids are going through. It's just too much for anybody to go through at that age. But, this might help. And we talked about the Catholic school shooting. This is demonetized, so but we should still try to be proper practice, right? But it's so devastating. It is, that's the one thing I like about having my 8-year-old at home, and he couldn't follow instructions. In a case of an emergency, that's one thing in having an autistic child. It's so scary. Like, your child literally can't follow instructions. That's one big fear I have. What if the house is on fire? I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, now you don't have to go to work somewhere that you are unhappy, Tony said. I really didn't mind my job until it became overwhelming and they upped the production. Like, and they upped it. Like our managers didn't. It's just all these guys I work with decide to go twice as fast. Is homeschooling effective really, Yusef? I believe it is. My older sons, they started in middle school and high school, and they walked in A's and B's, participate in extracurricular activities. They both do sports. I'm very pleased. I'm glad they went into the public school system. And I don't want to say this to make any homeschooling parent feel bad. If you homeschooled all the way through, good for you. Statistics show that is probably the best thing somebody can do, really, if you do it right. But um, when they walked into school and did as well as they did, that's when I knew that I did do the homeschooling right, you know? And it's just education. Like we should all be surrounded by materials. Like if I don't read as much as I used to, but like we should all have hobbies and interests that keep our brain going, right? Something keeps blocking my messages, not saying anything bad. Tony, there was a glitch. Somebody was in here last week. Jesus was talking about how it was happening to him in other chats too. Go cut and spear some Go cut and spear you some baker girl, make you some cash while it's that time. What is that mean? I'm sorry, I'm so lost. I have no idea what that means, Uncle Incel. I'm gonna call you that. Yes, is that okay if I call you that? Yes, that's a good topic. There's this older woman on YouTube. Her channel name is A Girl in the Woods or something. She lives in Maine. She did a vid about her strange relationship with her adult daughter, the lady with the curly hair, Diamond. I follow her too. Really? I'm pretty sure. That's her. Yeah, you're right. The panini is what I call it. Tony, it's YouTube channels. I don't mod my chats, they'll go invisible. 20 to 25 cents a stick is good money. You're talking about still. No mods are messing with your comments, I promise. Yeah, definitely a glitch on YouTube's end. And Tony said, I know, Mr. Carey. I didn't think so. With farmers markets, you're not supposed to be over 50 miles away from your local farmers market into Kentucky to be able to sell at them. I didn't know that, Diamond. Diamond, seriously, please don't ever call yourself dumb. I'm not just saying this to butter you up. You are so insightful and you lend like so much of the conversation. If anybody ever made you feel like you were dumb because like in a book smart kind of way, taking tests, like kind of way, like there's so many people like my dad that are like exceedingly book smart. They can answer every question ever read on Jeopardy. I'm not kidding. He could like sit there and answer every single question on Jeopardy. Total, absolute, complete fool when it comes to everyday life and just everything, and he uh, was a horrible father. I'd much rather have a parent like you that was somebody who was insightful and considerate and kind, and has like as much life experience as you do and want to help people. You're not dumb, Diamond. Tony, you two messes with my chest for nearly 4 weeks now. It's aggravating. John Prada, the hair man, he donates to our Kentucky farmers markets every year, tax write-offs. Oh, that's interesting, Diamond. Thank you, David. Yes, it is just trying to say nice things, Tony said. Comfy clothes. My daughter does fine. They both have A's and B's and do very well. So you have two kids at home? I'm sorry, comfy clothes. I'm being really nosy. Tony said, I can see. Mr. Carey, I got like 8 backup accounts when that happens. Jay Hardy just wants to be alone. My son and I both struggle with that. Um, okay. Jay Hardy, I hope you're still in here because that was a Hi Ruth, how are you doing? Are you saying you feel like you shouldn't, like you feel isolated? Because some people just need more alone time. That's actually a sign, in my opinion, that's a sign of like high intelligence. Like you need to decompress from interactions maybe more so than the average person. But of course, if you feel like it's isolating and detrimental, then I would suggest I just scheduling things. Try to come up with activities, even if it's one thing a week. If you push yourself out the door to do one social thing, if it's something, you said you struggle with, um, and it's something to look forward to. It's always nice for kids. Tony, watch, I will switch to one of my accounts, BRB. You know what I mean? Like it's that sounds like so simple. It's not. Like to really like home educate, get your kids out there. It really is a lot of it's a part-time job to just find activities to do sometimes. And depending on where you're at, might be easier said than done. You might just find a cool place like Diamond was talking about that short creek, I found cool things on Google Maps. Like people will make landmarks out of places. Comfy, cozy places PS5 all the time, which is interactive, LOL. It's tobacco season. Yes, call me Uncle Incel. Oh, okay, so when we lived off grid, I think I know what you're talking about, those sticks, those that are like pointed. Somebody gave us those as fire starter. Like they start a fire really well, right? They're great kindling. There's Old Watermill House in Corbin, Kentucky. Ooh, that sounds neat. I love old watermills. Hope greens are free, right? Comfy clothes, but I don't know how to process those. I mean, I know how. I never have done it. I don't trust myself. You have to like boil them, right? Cumberland Falls are the only other moonbow in the world besides the one over in Africa. Yes, Diamond. Yes. Girl, I need to give Diamond a commission or something for helping me with ideas. I'm not kidding. I'm not gonna use, like, a bunch of your ideas and not give you anything. Or, okay, I know how you feel about that, whatever, we'll figure something out. Carrie, did you just become an uncle? HK said. That was Mr. Carey. Tony said. Comfy, one, just my son. Okay. HK, I am an uncle by marriage. Tony, I was like, do I know you from another channel? LMM. Youssef, I don't live in the US and I don't have kids yet, but I want my future kids to have homeschooling. I guess it's much better for them. Yes, Youssef. And anytime they've studied this statistically, once again, I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad. Like my homeschool kids wanted to go to public school. So, like, if you have kids in public school, I hope they're doing well. It is a unique experience they'll never have again in their life to be around so many peers of the same age and doing the same thing. I try to look at it as the glass half full. But statistically, and I say this in defense because we hear a lot of negative things about homeschooled kids, and I mentioned this before. I have a video on my channel, Youssef, and my edited videos. It's quite old. You'll probably have to scroll a little bit, but it's called Homeschooling. Is it the weird choice or the least weird choice? Something like that. Because like I feel like when kids socialize in a variety of situations with a variety of age groups, they're going to be more well-rounded than if they are in a classroom only with a few dozen of their peers and that's it. And I noticed a stark difference in children at the playground when they became school aged. My kids would always play with kids. Once a kid starts going to school, in my opinion, you take them to a public place, a public play area, and they don't want anything to do with any child that they don't know from school or whatever. However, in my opinion, like kids all play with each other. It's like this classrooms make them discriminate against their other peers that aren't in the classroom. I think this is part of this in crowd mentality, like it enforces it, at least it was always there since we were in tribes. But yeah, statistically, of course, there's horrible people that use it as an excuse to be neglectful and abusive. That's absolutely horrible. I can't stand it when I hear, and it's like it's horrible on every level, because I take it personally as a home educating parent when I see other parents homeschool and fail at it and neglect and abuse children and use it as an excuse to keep them at home away from people. And I do think for that reason there should be more there should be more regulations across the board. It was nice to be in Indiana in a notification state, but at the same time, I have no problem even opening up my doors. I'm not in a state like that now, but some states, and like I'm a very personal person, but I would be like, yeah, I'll show you what I'm proud of it. I'll show you everything I can. Um, sounded- too many other distractions. Comfy clothes said. Yeah, and when you think about um, how much education really takes place in like an 8-hour school day? Think about all the time you're sitting around talking to kids, you know what I mean? And how much real quality socialization takes place. Um, a lot of neither often, but once again, you and Taya have the knowledge in common of natural ways of healing. Taya and her husband do have and run a farm. Diamond, that is so cool. Okay. I did watch her content for a few hours today and I did not catch on to that. I'm glad you told me that. That is so cool. I had your video on my queue, but I haven't watched it yet. When it was like 4 weeks ago when you had her on your channel, I was like, I don't know how I missed that, but I don't put the notification bell on like ever because I've just found like it. I think I need to put the notification bell on for some of you all. And then Mr. Carey tagged me in something. I didn't get the tag, but I saw it on my feed. But, I don't like notifications, but I know I can put my phone on do not disturb. But like being on second shift, especially, nothing notify me ever. Comfy clothes. He gets distracted easy. I pushed for him to go to school, but he downshifted at home. My niece did homebound and turned out perfectly fine. Yes, tobacco sticks. Yeah, tobacco sticks. That's what it was. I use them in my garden to stake my plants. That's cool, comfy clothes. I mentioned sticks last night when Anna was on. What county does Diamond live in? Diamond, where do you live exactly? I know, it's on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, I miss Anna tonight. Anna, we miss you. She really is a sweetheart. She's helped me a lot during my recovery, and I hope she's feeling well now in her recovery from surgery. Now, I'm going to make a video about soon on why we don't do that as YouTubers. Yes, Diamond. We actually, I think you said that last night too, and I respect that. I do. You're really sweet. Hi, Alan. How are you doing? Thank you. Alan said, hi, folks. Peace and blessings to all. Hi, Okies. How are you? I read from this book. If anybody's interested in it, you might want to like rewatch this video later. We read about 20 pages from this book, and I think it's going to be really great. I'll try to be more succinct with my future readings. I'm not monetizing these streams because it is copyrighted work. I hope that that still works out. I think I can still like get in trouble. I'm such a paranoid person. What's the deal with the Southern white women? I don't know what you mean by that, HK. I don't know if I want to know. I tagged you in my song there was Titus. Yes, it was funny. Mr. Carey. In your facial expressions, you're really a hoot. You said failure in homeschooling depends on parents neglecting your kids and not tracking their progress will lead to failure for sure. Right. And I took elements from unschooling. I wouldn't have a super strict curriculum. I couldn't imagine not having any curriculum though. It'd be like, so I'd look and see, okay, so in second grade, this is like what they do with math, English, reading, history, literature, all of that stuff. Like these are the goals. These are what they're supposed. And then I would make sure I had work for that. It was kind of like one of those books where you read and at the bottom of the page, it's like if you want to go down the hall, go to page 54. If you want to open the door on the right, go to page 28. Do you guys remember those books? So it was like we always did work, but I didn't know what was going to happen next, except for math, right? I mean, in history, you go more sequentially as well. But and to kind of really follow their interests and really delve into their interests. What was the name of that place that used to be a small theme park at Cumberland Falls? They used to have a sideways house. It was old Western theme, but you can see some of the ruins still. I don't know, Diamond. That sounds really neat. I went to a place in Indiana and it's on my old memory card. what is it? Rose Hill? I'm probably not remembering that right. There's an old theme park from the early 1900s, like 1920s, in Indiana. It's so neat. Hi, Javier. How are you doing tonight? Mr. K, thanks for the laugh on your new song. LOL, I needed that. Oh, Alan, I grew up in Pulaski. What a beautiful place. Yes, it really is. Tony said, being a creep, cut it out. Oh, I just adore you guys sticking up for me, seriously. And that's like women who do hate all men. I know a lot of people are like, thank you. No, I don't hate all men. Like the women that do, it makes me sad because it's like they must have never had a good man like in their, like the goodness of like brothers, like the friendship, when it does feel good to have a man stick up for you against another man. There's nothing quite the same. Like a woman sticking up for you isn't going to be the same. And like I really appreciate all you guys. And of course, all of you ladies. But yeah, I really do miss Anna. I hope she's doing well. Jay Hardy, you. My old best friend moved to Somerset several years back. They live near the Amish in Nancy. That's neat, Diamond. Thank you, Jay Hardy. You're so sweet. I really do appreciate you, especially now that I'm out of work. Not that I'm ever asking for anything from anybody, just your presence and your comments and interaction really is enough. But it's like a dream come true getting saber chats. I really do mean that. You make my dreams come true when you give me. Okay, see, now that sounds like dry begging. I need to stop. Diamond, aw, cool near Puncheon Creek area. Raising kids and teaching them everything by yourself seems like a real interesting and fulfilling thing to do. Yusef, yes, but the scary thing is it's so fleeting, and before you know it, they don't need you anymore. But that's the goal. That's the way things should be. And it's scary, and you really put your whole. I spent my whole 20s home educating my kids, and I don't regret it, but I do know what it's like to have a very thankless job. And I don't mean that towards anybody in my personal life, but like everybody knows how good it is feels to have a boss tell you, "Good job, you did a great job today." We all thrive off of that, right? As a home educating parent, you don't get that from anybody, hardly. And so just keep that in mind if you know anybody who is a stay-at-home parent or especially a home educating parent involved with their child's education at home. That is a big responsibility. It is a job in and of itself. And it is nice to have people recognize instead of calling you lazy. I'll never forget. We moved into this rental house and there was a principal we met, one of the neighbors, and she's like, I'm principal of da 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 school. I'm sorry, I told her I'm homeschooling, my kids, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm principal, you wanna put put them in school?" Like, it's just it was I couldn't imagine ever somebody meeting me and saying, "My kids go to da 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 school," and me being like, "Oh, do you wanna homeschool them? Because that's what I do." Jay Hardy, you. Jay, hold on. It's it's the it's like showing up double. I don't know what's going on with that, but I really, really appreciate you, Jay. You're so nice. I think it's because other people liked it. Yeah. Thank you, Jay. Is it okay if I call you Jay? I hope that's okay because I want to say Jay Hardy because I don't know for sure, but I think I'm going to call you Jay. I've always looked, unless you tell me not to, because I always will respect anybody's wishes of what they want me to call them. I've always looked up real estate pretty much daily and dreamed, LOL. So I know Kentucky, Tennessee, all areas pretty well. Diamond, you're funny. I look up real estate every day since we were looking at land. I have like certain parameters still. Certain parts of Kentucky I'm nowhere near, but I still get like all the listings every single day in our price range, right? So this would be well under $200,000, which doesn't get you much nowadays, but it's still interesting. And every once in a while, I'll go and up the price. Oh, goodness. Oh, hold on. Jay Hardy said good night. Good night, Jay Hardy. I hope you sleep well, and hopefully we see you soon. I'm gonna be going live like every night around 9. Not a guarantee, but that is my goal. Everything that's worth doing scares us, doesn't it? Yusef said. Yes, that's true. There would be no real growth if it wasn't difficult in some way, right? I was listening to a lot of Alan Watts to help me through my fears. And like there was so many good clips I want to make into shorts. And one of my subscribers, or if they are still subscribed, I don't know for sure. They mentioned on one of the shorts where I do have Alan Watts on the shorts speaking, more Alan Watts, please. And I'm like, yeah, I think we could all use some more Alan Watts. As I'm reading the Jungian psychology things, I think of Alan Watts a lot, and he was raised very religious, Catholic, I believe, and I should know this. What did he convert to? It's like he's a mixture of everything, Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism. It's just so interesting to listen to. Jay is good. Thank you for verifying, Jay Harder. Jay, listen to me, Hardy. It's like an hour and a half. I get all tongue twisted. Definitely hope to see you again soon. Yes, I've looked at real estate every day since I've been an adult, pretty much, Diamond said. Well, it sounds like you could probably be a good realtor, Diamond. Tony, OMG, I love Alan Watts, my all-time favorite philosopher. Me too, Tony. Oh my gosh, I found him too late in life. I wish I would have found him sooner. I just found him a few years ago. But remember, Uncle Insa loves you all. Oh, how sweet. But yeah, Alan Watts is just we're talking about difficulties growing, but like at the same time, something people do too much is to push against things they shouldn't, like, and that impedes their growth. And if we could just do what nature does, what animals do, even though I do think we have a higher purpose. But anyways, around your areas there is more Amish. Going toward my way, there's more Mennonites, Diamond said. Yeah, the road we live on has like the carriage signs, like watch out for a horse and carriage. And I don't see them like every single day. We see a lot of Mennonites on bicycles and Amish carriages, but I don't we get our milk from Mennonites. We do get milk from a farm and they're Mennonite. But my husband always does that. I'm gonna have to start doing it now that he's going back to work full time. Oh, good night, Uncle. I hope that you sleep well. But yeah, anybody that's like struggling, I think, aren't we all, like the Jungian psychology, Alan Watts. I really want to bring more of these things to my channel because the whole point was I wanted to start a channel called Victory Garden or something about victory gardening or like come up with a new twist on victory gardens because during World War, oh gosh, was it World War II? They had a government program where people would come to your house and help teach you to garden. They would like help you if you didn't already have a garden because it was so encouraged that to be self-sustainable and when things that might be rationed to have your own. It's so funny to me how far away we've gotten from that. It's almost like the opposite. Like if you have a garden, the government wants you to put it on a registry and like keep their eyes on you. They're not going to like help you with your garden, in my opinion. And oh, Tony said, I luckily found him when I was about 14. I'll be 31 this November. He has truly helped me in so many ways. When people ask if I could meet anyone in the past, from the past, I say Alan Watts. I wish I had. Oh, rest in peace. Yes, Alan, rest in peace. That is so cool, Tony. Good for you. Wow. If only everybody could discover Alan Watts at 14. Some of the land between Manchester and London is for sale and very beautiful. Yes, we definitely looked a lot around Manchester because once again in our budget, but the things the problems you talk about with your area, Diamond, I felt were also prominent around there. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure there are good areas. I'm sure there are better areas than others, but I almost felt like the feeling if we bought land around there or a house that there would be people like mad at us for moving there because we have dark hair. I don't know. I know there's people with dark hair and but you know what I'm trying to say. My husband and my sons are darker skinned than me. It just showed you had a live lady and I clicked and it showed video removed by uploader just seconds ago. That is bizarre. I don't like that, Carrie. What's going on? My live last night was cut off. Like when I replayed it today, it was like the first several minutes are just gone. I don't like that because I make my disclaimers in the beginning. That's awesome, HK said to Tony. I plan on making real estate vids. It's just getting time to do everything. I know, Diamond. Well, I'm the same way. I have like so many ideas that I want to do, and that's why YouTube is a great outlet. And like, seriously, you have lots of good ideas, Diamond. Way more than me. Mr. Carriot just, oh, I read that. You said, but how to teach the kids the things that I don't really have teaching abilities in it. For example, I am an engineer. I can teach them math easily. Well, Yusef, that's what's so great about the internet, right? Like now we have free college courses available. Like, not that your kids are going to start off doing college courses. I'm just saying there's a lot of free resources and there are homeschooling classes. It's definitely important to acknowledge. You're not always going to be your kid's best teacher, and you already know that you're going to be fine. And sometimes you might try to teach them something the way you did, and then somebody else does it and they learn it, and that's great. But you'll build a community and you'll figure that stuff out for sure. To look up what this person was all about that helped him find peace, even though it was a fiction show. First message was deleted, not deleted, but blocked. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, I'd like to see what the first message was, Tony. But yeah, Yusef, another thing is co-ops. We were part of one for about a school year where you each decide, well, not every parent in the group, but some of the parents are teachers of certain classes, and that's really fun to do too. It's always interesting to me when it comes to co-ops, like if a mom has a college degree, it's like everybody wants her to teach the classes. It's like you have the college degree. You have a college degree in art. You have to teach an art class. It's just kind of funny to me because like aren't we all homeschooling our kids, doing education at home, and you're like sitting here saying you have to have like a college for elementary education, okay? I understand more when it comes to high school or something, but I'm talking about elementary education. Why do you need a college degree for every subject? I think that's funny. Um, I don't know. I forgot to remember the title. What other subjects, Youssef? Well, I am best in like English, literature, history. I am not good at math personally, but I did well enough to get my kids through to middle school. Like, I don't think I could have done high school math at all. That's how bad I am at math. So I would have definitely gotten a tutor involved then. But I actually come from a background of educate my my father was a college professor until he like got blacklisted. In my opinion, he says he left academia. I think he was kicked out because he was known to do drugs with his students. He married a student. He was just like inappropriate. He never dressed professionally. And then when he went up for tenure, he's all shocked when people like didn't want him to get it. He'd go to his college in fucking flip-flops and a shirt with holes in it. And that was like his shtick. He was the cool hippy dippy guy that everybody loved because he just didn't give a fuck. And I'm not saying that he wasn't a good teacher, but he's like always bragging about how his classes were full. But it's because he was an easy A, in my opinion. And then, to work that hard to get a PhD, he was a college professor for a few years and then left and never went back. I think something's going on with that. I think somebody found out something about him. He's never even so yeah, I'm spilling all the beans tonight. A show life was what helped me find Alan Watts, detective in prison for murders he didn't do. Oh, that's interesting, Tony. Yes, that's a bad thing, but now all that is starting to go in reverse. But Perry Hazard isn't nice places, and Manchester is right next to Perry. It's always in Kentucky, top dangerous counties. Yes, Diamond. You just feel that vibe. I'll never forget in Manchester, there's like this abandoned sheriff's car. I'm sorry, I bring up the same stuff a lot. I catch myself doing that. I'm sorry. People are probably like, God, I'm going to unsubscribe. This girl is like an old lady that retells the same stories. Used Alan Watts to get through his time locked up. That's interesting, Tony. Sorry to spam the chat log. Not sure how else to get these messages out without being blocked and don't want to keep writing out a full message. No, you're fine. You're not spamming at all. That's not spam. Leslie County is small and is in between Perry and Manchester, but it's a very cute, tiny little town. Okay. Yeah. Oh gosh, Diamond. If and when we sell this property or we move on from this property, I'm going to ask you because I could definitely see us heading out east because, like I keep saying, it's just the land is so much cheaper. Tony, the show intrigued me so much. I looked up what it was about. This guy, Alan Watts, that brought him peace. That's so cool, Tony. I love how that found you like that. Um, BLM, I don't know who you're talking about. Yeah, your chat activity, Tony. You've been here for 3 lives. Oh, that's what the number 2 mean that's what the numbers mean? Sorry, what happened to your father, Yusef said. Oh, it's okay, Yusef. And that's not even the worst of it, honestly. I've said before, and I plan on making more content about it. I was 18 years old. He he groomed me, and basically I did things for money I shouldn't be doing for money and paid his bills, including my own back child support. So I'm in no contact with him because I had been for most of my adult life since that happened, since I was about 19 years old. He barely ever interacted with my kids. I tried to reconcile with him. I tried to have a discussion with him about what he did. And of course, it all came back on me, and I was an 18-year-old adult, basically. And But now that I'm a mother of an 18-year-old, my oldest child is 18 right now. I've officially come to the conclusion that I will never be able to like forgive him in that way. I can forgive myself, which was what was really needing to happen because so much shame and guilt is brought with that. But I definitely intend on making like some content on like sex work and how detrimental and harmful what's going on with young women these days is. Yeah, okay. I read that already. You click on the chatter name and look at chat activity. Have you seen the vid I shared of Hillbilly Crumb? She did one about the, is that a race car around here? It still goes on, but I've noticed that past few years, even here in Letcher County, is gaining population of different. I wouldn't move past the Manchester border if you move southeastern. Okay, Diamond, thank you for saying that. Yusuf, how the hell do you speak that fast, by the way? I know it's so funny to me. Somebody last night when I was talking about leaving my job, they said you should be an auctioneer. That was great. Oh, that was so funny to me. But you guys, I think I am about done. And I really don't mind not monetizing. But in light of this being something that I can't monetize, I'm just saying I think I'll do the book reading during the day for future references because the day lives get less activity. So keep an eye out for that. That way, maybe I can sneak in an hour of reading during the day and then do something like this at night. And I'm going to try to since I'm not, I feel like it still has to be transformative because it is copyrighted work. Although I'm not monetizing it, I could still be doing something wrong with the copyright law. So I'm still going to be talking, but I'm going to try to be more succinct when I read for you guys because I just have a good feeling about this. I really like. I think this is so beneficial for everybody. And like i- if you're struggling, we're all struggling with things outside of ourselves, but it can never hurt to look inside. And yes. Do you follow yes, I do. Stivers, Stivers. I don't know how to say. I just found them recently. They moved to Barbourville. To me, that's the best area in London. Do they have like a shop where they promote a lot of their products? I think I'm thinking of the same family, Diamond. Sold to the highest bidder, Mr. Carrison. Totally understandable. We need to get you making some money from YouTube. Um, yeah, so I am gonna be completely transparent with you guys, especially like I really want to help Mr. Carey and his family out. I says I'm getting $177 September 21st through the 26th. Now that has to be just my portion of my super chats. I don't have it says I've only made like $7 from all of my monetized views, but $7 is my RPM, CPM, what is it? Basically, it's saying like I've made 1,000 views when I've made more like 80 monetizable. So we'll see. I'm hoping it's going to be more around like $400 or $500, which would be great. I'm used to making $700. And when I was explaining last night, it's like I work 10-hour shifts. So my 10-hour overtime day is, I didn't want, I feel like people are gonna like see, that doesn't make any sense. And when I said I had $16, but then I had $120 to, I had $120 on a gift card. That's why I was talking about going grocery shopping. I'm like, oh my gosh, people are gonna think I'm a liar because I said I had $16 in my bank account, which I really did, but I happen to have a gift card. So, anyway, one of my YouTube friends does 30-minute sections of sleep videos now because he is only doing lives. You're not talking about Jory, are you? I know I've stopped in on some of Jory's lives and he's like not there, like and you can't like it. It's I don't know what kind of live that is because I've never been in one before. Yusuf, but they're our parents after all, aren't they? We should be kind to them, however careless, mean, rude they are. I think that's a very noble thing, Yusuf. In my opinion, I am being kind and noble just by like letting him live his you know what I mean? Just by being cordial. It is what it is. I think there's definitely people out there that are a better person than me, probably, that can overcome things. But for my own sake and sanity, my own good health, and after the things that he did, I don't trust him around my kids. And with my mother, it's not like that at all. We just simply don't clash. Our personalities don't go well together. We've always been like that. She will just like what is the word I'm looking for? Like the way she treats my sister in front of me is such a joke. Like the last time I was around both of them, my mom didn't hug me, and then my sister comes into the room and she hugs her and she's like sitting there, petting her hair and just like, oh, I missed you so much. I'm not kidding. She's like moaning about like She's always done that. She's always tried to put me in competition with something or something. I'm done. She gets to be a grandma to my kids. Like, I think that I've given her a gift in that. One of my YouTube, oh, I already read that. That's one reason I don't like doing lives. I hope you get more on your channel and be successful with it, friend. Mr. Carey, thank you. Well, you really are helping a lot. Like the way you can, all you mods help moderate the chat really helps a lot. It really does. You streamline things tremendously. And don't think I don't know that. Yes, they live in a rock house in Barberville. They used to live on a family commune in Frankfurt. Oh my gosh. When you say rock house, you mean like a limestone? I have a thing. I love brick houses, like true brick. Most brick homes built nowadays, they're not like true brick, but like I love limestone. I have a thing. Oh my gosh, there's so many, so many. There's a few really cool limestone farmhouses. One of them is Carrie, you said you're from Campbellsville. I can think of one that's on the edge of Campbellsville, right? It's like, uh, it's something. You drive by that and I can't remember the highway. Yes, I live in a okay. Keep going, be consistent, and you got this. It will happen. In my opinion, I think the successful on YouTube are the ones who are consistent and just keep making content. Yes, Tony, you are right. And my edited videos don't do very well, but I'm gonna stick at it. Like I need to build my skills up with editing because the way I look at it, we're used to living on such little money. If I could just have like a few videos do really well every year, like that would be like life changing, even if it wasn't like a consistent income. Um, my goal is to be debt free. I wanted to be debt free by the time I'm 40, but that's definitely probably not going to happen. But unless I blew up on YouTube, but I would sincerely love to help other people go debt free to make enough money. Oh my gosh, if I blew up, I mean this, you guys, like you can be my witnesses. You can hold me to it. If I ever made crazy YouTube money, I'd like give this house away because, anyways, I'd try to help somebody else homestead that couldn't do it otherwise. Because I think um, just what's happening to home ownership is so unfortunate. Please check out Lee Unfiltered. She shared a lot of her early income on from YouTube. It breaks it down and makes sense. Okay, thank you, Diamond. Fat Cat. Am I reading that right? I'm glad I found your channel. You have great advice and your voice is super calming. Hopefully, more people that care about the same things find it too. That is such a sweet comment. I really appreciate you for saying that. Thank you. So thoughtful. Oh, I'm sorry you have to go through that. That's wrong. She should be a better parent to you. I hope that doesn't cross the line, just how I feel. Oh, thank you, Tony. Um, Honestly, I mean this like and I feel bad for people that don't have good partners, but my marriage has been so healing and like I remember telling my husband and being in counseling and talking about like I know other people grew up like this. I'm not trying to play the victim. I'm saying this because like I know I'm not the only like my parents were in this cycle and it was like things would be good and then like every 2 weeks they'd have this horrible fight where it's just like for days, like slamming doors, yelling for day and then you try to be like, "Oh, can I go to a friend's house?" And then they turn on you, and then they're like, "Ah, you," for a few hours, and just, like, chaos, and, like, my husband never heard his parents fight. I can't imagine, like, literally never having heard your parents fight. It must be, like, paradise, and he is so cool, calm, collected, laid back, like, he is the epitome of a laid back individual, and I believe that ideally you complement each other in those ways and you balance each other out. Um, that's not to say that things are perfect. I don't like extremely get on his nerves sometimes because of all of my trauma. DMC, how are you? Hey, Mr. Carey, glad to be back here, and it's good to see you as well. Vapcap, am I saying that right? It has to be that. No, my friend Chris the Flash, he used to do a lot of the sleep sounds videos, and I told him to start making 30-minute sessions, and so he did because when you're live, a lot of people will come in and interrupt. Right. Absolutely, the mods like Diamond and Anna and Addie and Frosty and Jory. I like that. Diamond and Anna and Addie and Frosty and Jory and Carrie. Oh, I miss Anna. Seriously, guys, like I really like this is one thing I should probably say at the beginning of a live, not the end of one, but she really is a sweet person. He was a good example of a good Christian. And like, as much as I talk about religious people, there's always been people in my life. At the downsides of organized religion, as much as I talk about that, there's always been good people in my life like her that remind me of like why the concept, why the organized religion isn't always a bad thing. Is she's just the best. The sleep lives that a lot of people use for sleep and anxiety. Yeah, I've been listening to the sleepy history, even though I told myself I wouldn't because it's obviously AI. You grew up in Campbellsville, Mr. Carey. The one I didn't know about. Um, when I was 4 years old, there was a cat in the ceiling because we grew up in this apartment complex, which was basically like housing for families on the university. You know, like when you were married, had a family and couldn't live in dorm rooms, and they had like those tile ceilings, and there was a cat in it for some reason. And my dad, the genius, my dad, the literal genius, thought it was a good idea to get up on a ladder and start moving ceiling tiles around with little 4-year-old Lydia looking up at him. And then a ceiling tile fell on my nose, and I've had this scar my whole life, and for some strange reason, it just started bleeding recently. So I don't know. Is that a sign of something? Maybe I should call and ask Titus. Maybe he'll know, the all-knowing prophet. He'll be able to help me on that, right? Oh no, wait, he doesn't even know what part of walnuts are the parasite cleanser. I have heard that once you get monetized, your long form vids make the most money. That's what I've heard too, Diamond. Yusuf, it's a religious thing being kind to parents as a Muslim. Yet I totally understand that you don't trust him around your kids, but my point is we should be kind as much as we can towards him. I understand, Yusuf. I really do, and I appreciate you, and I really do hear what you're saying. And if I come off as disrespectful, I hope that you know it's like to help others on the same path. I don't give my parents names or pictures out because I'm really not trying to shame them. And there's so much I could say about my mother, really. There's so much that I wouldn't ever say because I do think it would be too disrespectful. And overall, I do appreciate the kind of grandma she is. Tony, you have the wits, kind, and intriguing personality, interesting topics, and responsive to audience. There's no doubt you'll make it. Just don't doubt it or yourself. Oh, Tony, thank you so much. You guys. I've had such a weird day. I really do appreciate the little pep talks, guys. Babcap, while the cycle thing is real, I remember my parents arguing late at night. You're saying it right. Okay, Babcap. I think vids off a computer make more money in horizontal vids than on a phone and vertical. Yes, Diamond. I definitely do. My edited videos from 6 years ago were all made on a computer. You can tell the difference too. It is so much better. Yusuf, yes, all parents fight, but I'm talking about like this toxic cycle that creates nervous system dysfunction in your children for the rest of their lives to the point where I will see somebody, like I know somebody's coming in the room. I can see them. I know they're walking towards me for some reason. Like once they actually approach me, I jump. I'm like the jumpiest person in the world. And that could also be like heavy metal toxicity and like other things. But Tony, I'm glad your husband is grounded for you. All partners get on each other's nerves. That's where it comes with accepting the good and the bad. Right, Tony. Yeah, definitely. I mean, marriage is hard. There's no easy answers to life. It's all about just not. There's a saying, as cheesy as it's true. It's like when it works when neither of you want to give up at the same time. Because usually there can be times where one of you wants to give up. And it can happen, right? The goal is to like never want to give up at the same time. Parents don't fight. Hold on, my wife whining. I didn't put the spoon in the sink. Oh my gosh, Mr. Carey, don't start talking about spoons and sinks. Are you in my house, Carrie? Accepting and loving who you are and who he is. Yes, Tony. After I mentioned Titus allegedly, I am now imputed. Impotent. My friend, Are You Locked In, says you want to have at least 10 people watching while you're live. Obviously, the more the better, but with 10, it gives you more watch hours. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I was joking. I only use the word allegedly, Carrie said. Diamond, there's so many factors into YouTube and making money off of it. That's one reason to make that video talking about why you never take money off other YouTubers. You're so sweet, Diamond. What would you do if I was given to Skipper Jones said, what would you do if you were given $250,000? Well, that depends. If I already had like a goal that I was telling everybody what I was going to use that money for to accomplish with that money and set up a fundraiser for that money, I would do what I said I was going to do with that money. However, if I was just handed $250,000, I would definitely go debt free and establish a farm and try to do it all debt free. And I know how expensive farms and farm equipment are, you guys. You have to keep in mind this is permaculture. I'm not intending on doing monocrop farming. That's not to say like you won't need large, expensive equipment sometimes. But once a permaculture, the kind of establishment I'm thinking of is really established, it's going to be a lot of work every year, but there's going to be so many perennials, and then you can also let the land rest every 7 years or so, like the Bible says. Once again, I'm not religious, but there's so much truth, undeniable truth in the Bible. That's one reason why I gravitated towards it. Nope, Lydia, I can't tell you, Mr. Carrison. Tony, yeah, I hear you about that on the marriage, not cheesy. Thanks, Tony. And I mean, I've always said this too. If I was handed money, debt free is the goal to then invest some money like in seed, like try to live off the interest, like try to save 50 or $100,000 that you could like continually live off like because that wouldn't be that much money really. But to help people and animals, definitely I would oh my gosh, I'd be the happiest woman in the world if I had a disposable income and I could walk around helping people and animals. And but then I think why don't more people do that? But then it's like, well, maybe I would be corrupted by it. Maybe I wouldn't do that. Maybe I would just start to vacation and buy expensive clothes and makeup and jewelry. I don't know. I'm no better than anybody else. I'd like to think I wouldn't do that though. I believe YouTube is like Twitch for to have at least make $100 before you can get a payout. Yes, Diamond. That's why I'm waiting till September 21st. Um, because technically I got monetized, at the end of July, but I just didn't make enough money. But that's another thing why it's like, did I not have something turned on? Because like I'm just almost worried I'm not getting the RP the $7 per 1,000 views. Aaron has a video, Little Miss Misogyny premiere now. Oh, great, Mr. Carey. Okay, so anybody that like just can't imagine him doing what he does is pathetic enough. I can't imagine the nature of somebody who like thrives off of that and all that. I mean, it's exactly the kind of person that ends up in a 30-year-old false prophet's farm walking around with shitting in a 5-gallon overflowing bucket and crying with him. Aaron could really benefit from this. This is what Aaron needs. He needs to go back and decide what wounded him as a child. Um, I guess it has something to do maybe with the cackling laugh. I'm not trying to make fun. I mean it. Like there's something to that. There's some trauma behind that. And maybe even was he told he couldn't laugh? He was too loud. Maybe it's something like that. I totally understand you. I got depressed because of one of a hell of a problem. I might say a fight with my father. And for a whole year, I kept arguing and fighting with my parents, Yusef said. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Yusef, but things are better now. And I definitely, respect your beliefs and everything. So I appreciate you being able to talk about them. But not like Muslims have always been great like that, in my opinion, except for like the extreme, like any religious person. But Christians are often like, no, this is what you should do because that's what the Bible says. And it's like, how is anybody going to really learn from that? 250,000 isn't much money nowadays, Diamond said, right? When a starter home is that is not a nice way to be friends, Mr. Carey said. Right now, there is 80 acres for sale in Pike County for $250,000. I'd love to have it, Diamond said. Oh, Diamond. HKs. If I have to ask you to stop asking people for money one more time, seriously, it's not cool. I don't like that. I don't like that energy. I don't like that vibe. I don't like, you know what I mean? Lydia, you get gas at the Shell station. Kidding. If you really do, I swear I didn't know that was only guessing. I'm the same way as you are. Carrie said that. Diamond. I'm the same way as you are. I've had them thoughts too. I think I'd turn dark, but maybe not. Skipper said, LOL. I'm glad I'm making you laugh, Skipper. Yusef, another good point is, I'm sorry, you did say good. Another point is that we're going to be parents one day and we'll make a lot of mistakes with our kids. That's life. We need to be tolerant and try every day to be a better version of ourselves. Yes, totally, totally. I wish I knew the Powerball number, TJ. Mavro, Aaron is a fellow YouTuber. So most of my subscribers aren't from Titus Morris. A year ago, my first live on this channel is about a YouTuber named Titus Morris. He already had YouTube, but gained quite a big of notoriety off of being on Peter Santanella's channel as a street preacher type individual, but instead of, being on the streets, he's in Amish country in South Central Kentucky. And it's come to light that he has a past of committing bestiality for over 10 years, starting in childhood into adulthood. And he's been inappropriate in front of children several times, including being nude and including attempting to circumcise himself in front of a 12-year-old. And so I spoke out about that because, in my opinion, they were trying to take all that information off the internet. All that's up there is like them and their Peter Santanello videos, still driving more people to their content. And this is so convoluted. It's hard to explain in any simpler way. Aaron is the number one fan of Titus. You know that saying, there's the difference, the opposite of love is not hate, it's apathy. Aaron has a thing for Titus, okay? And okay, let's talk about homosocial people because so many men are homosocial. I'm not saying homosexual, I'm saying homosocial. They thrive off of the brotherhood with other men, which is fine. That's fine. But it turns toxic only when you're like you're living your life for your boys. You're living your life to prove something to the men in your life. You're picking the woman to marry because you know it's going to look good to those guys, not because it's like what is in your heart. And I know I'm like, there's men that like light up so much around other men only. And this is how I see Aaron. And I think that lessens in certain, I mean, you're allowed to live however the freak you want to live. But if you're doing it because you think that women are less than, women don't what am I trying to say? He's misogynistic, in my opinion. So I've made content touching upon misogyny. I believe that that's why we are where we are. And so many people are upset about dating, adult media, like all these things play into misogyny. The reason why women can be sex workers, and the OnlyFans makes billions of dollars a year, and we can all like sit back and be like, what? How can this girl make $1 million a month off of like her images of her body, but I'm making 18 to $20 an hour? Like that irks me too. And there's there's a jealousy and envy that men have towards that. And it's all bad. It's all such it's so bad. So when I talk about like misogyny, like it hurts us all. Women do it to each other. And what's really driving it is our system, the oppressive patriarchy, which I will admit it, a few years ago, I thought people who talked about the patriarchy were goofy. And like, here I am, we're all allowed to evolve and change. Clearly, we are under the thumbs of a few elite men who rule over us all, men and women alike, suffer under this system. Oh, geez Louise, Skipper. You didn't have to give me a super chat, Skipper. Video was removed, Lydia, that Aaron had as a premiere. Okay, so Aaron's going manic. I'm sorry, guys. Let me read some comments before I rant about Aaron. I want to make sure I catch up with your comments. Thank you, Skipper. I do appreciate that. Yeah, I talked about asking for money on that on the vid that I did the other day, talking about the bad behaviors of other YouTubers and mods. I didn't catch that one, Diamond. I ran into Lydia researching Titus on YouTube. Yeah, so Mr. Carey found my videos pretty early on, right, Mr. Carey? And I had been praying, something that's I'm supposed to make a YouTube video about. You can see in my history, I like tried every few years to come back and make content, and it really did weigh heavy on my heart. Like I prayed about it and waited for a few days. Like, what should I do with this? Because the videos of proof of Titus talking about his past, it was court videos, got taken down, and I was like, I want to talk about this. I feel like I literally found that the week they got taken down because I'm me. I do have a big mouth. I've always somewhat had a big, but I pride myself on like I use it for good. I'm not like just trying to start fights with people. I've always been like an Aaron Brockovich of shorts. Um, I believe the thoughts we linger on while we don't have that money will still be the same when we have it because it's just who we are. Yes, Tony, I would like to think that too. Nor I don't work. I am home educating my 8-year-old son now. I just quit my factory job last night. He needs to be locked up, Sebastian said. I agree. Alan, that is how I found this channel way back when it was from Peter Titus before the truth came out. Okay, so we need women and men. Life won't function otherwise. Yes, we need each other. Um, I forgot to heart it. Thank you, Skipper. Again, we need each other. We're here to complement each other. Yes, men are stronger than women. Like you, we will never be as physically strong as you most of the time, right? Most women aren't as strong as most men, but men will never be able to give birth. Men will never be as strong as women in that way either. And that's like that just gets so lost because we don't look at life as the miracle that it should be. Every relatively healthy person born, there could be so many things that go wrong. It's a literal miracle. Every human body that's walking around with a soul in it. And if people, excuse me, if people weren't, if men who got women pregnant were the number one reason why they die during pregnancy, like that just like I bring that up a lot because if you don't hear that and you're not like shocked and saddened and all those things, um, I don't know how else to explain it to you. Aaron is in my opinion, a substance user. There, I said it. I think Aaron uses some kind of substances. I'm not good at sussing out because I was never a big partier. I liked my weed and I take my kratom now and I regret it and I'm trying to taper off of it. I take like a few teaspoons a day. But like in my opinion, Aaron Atz goes on like when he's like gone for weeks and then he comes back and it's like manic, 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 manic. This screams some kind of substance use to me. And I could totally be wrong with that, but it is something I saw in a comment. I think it might have been Stephanie. I forget. It was somebody from that camp, like mentioned something about alcohol. And I'm like, oh, this is all making sense. Like, this is why he's trying to redeem himself at a farm in Liberty, Kentucky. And, like, there's so many ways, so many good ways to like work on yourself that don't involve becoming part of a cult and looking up to a man that you shouldn't look up to. Like, it should be a lesson for everybody. I know it can be mean sometimes, and I'm sorry. Like, when I call Aaron names, like that's out of character for me. I shouldn't call him names. That's not fair. That's not right. And I'm sorry about that. I'm not perfect. However, it's like it's how I feel about him. He is not a good person. Why would you go after the person who is speaking out about the same things as you? And when he said in the live, don't tell me he wasn't taking his substance of choice when he's like, you haven't even been here. Why would you say anything about Titus when you haven't even been here? What is going on, Aaron? The whole point is we all know his past, and that's what people need to know before they take any innocent children or beings around him. That's all. And there's still people who are going to do what they want to do. Like a video months ago where this guy's like showing off, I got a horse. I trust Titus with my horse. Gonna put my horse in Titus' stable. Look, there's my horse in Titus' stable. It's just like I I can't explain that. Maybe one day I'll read a Jungian psychology book that will explain that to me. I can't wrap my head around why somebody wants to stick up for somebody like Titus so incredibly much to the point where, they're standing 10 toes down. He has a history of bestiality and getting nude in front of children, cutting on his genitals in front of a child. Uh, Aaron Atz refused to talk to me because he didn't want me to call from a privated number. He had to have my full government name. Like, it's so creepy. And then he made content talking about how he answered a call from a private number within a few weeks of that. When it's a man on the other line, like you knew it was me. You know it's Lydia from YouTube, but you won't answer me from a privated number, but you'll just answer any old private number and have a conversation at length with a man. Like, it's such a joke. He's all over the place. And I'm not trying to make light of it. He is unstable. For him, like he made that video of me and took it down. Like the Whitney Houston song he had playing over it. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I like me some 80s music. I love Whitney 80s Whitney. That was fun. Does anybody know? Was there a reason he took that down? Were there comments? I was like, oh, I'd like to know if like somebody said something to him that made him feel like the jackass that he is, because he is my elder. And like we're all so lost in this world. And I didn't want to come off right away, right off the bat, like extremely judging him, but it is an extremely good example of why you don't idolize people. And the people that do follow a cult leader, not always, but often they are unstable individuals themselves. There's somebody else, the Bronner soap bottle lady sounds like a Bronner soap bottle in her comments. You don't get me wrong. If someone wants to bless you, don't feel bad for taking it. We just don't be beggars on a YouTube friends channels. Trust me, if we had the money, we're not blind or wasn't we're Diamond. Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from, Diamond. I really do. Oh my gosh, I'm so far back in the chat, you guys. I'm sorry. Totally kidding. LL Skipper contributed because Skipper wanted to contribute. Tony said. Um, Diamond said, "We appreciate you. I joined you on Factory Workers Exist before I was modded, Lydia." Oh, Mr. Carey, you remember. That's cool. You said, "Excuse me for my ignorance, but are Titus and Aaron mentioned in the Bible or what?" No, you said these are people that are alive right now. Now, I know it's so convoluted, and I appreciate you sticking with the conversation, but they are YouTubers. Titus is 30 years old, Aaron is 50 something years old, and yeah, I got a ceiling tile fell on my nose when I was 4, and it's always been a scar, and for some reason, the scar just started to bleed. So if anybody knows what that's all about, do not feel bad for making GoFundMes or wish list vids. I can't legally make a GoFundMe because I'm on a disability, but next week I plan on making tons of wish list vids. Also, because I need. Oh yeah, yeah. I have considered that. Who's Aaron? Aaron Atz is a guy who he likes to make fun of how I talk about misogyny sometimes because he is so misogynistic. Only a misogynistic man couldn't get off the fact that on my channel where I just had a book reading of a Jungian psychology book about the inner battles all men go through because I definitely care about all people. That's why people need to learn, and it would help them. And I think it would help a lot of men understand women better if they understood the, the constant hate women have. Okay, so Jack Morgan, I made a video about him, how he's like, I don't understand how any woman could struggle. All she has to do is find a man that'll take care of her. He said it again in one of his videos. I'm going to make another video about that. He just can't help himself. He's like, I'm not saying you have to have sex for money, but I'm saying if you're good looking, you're going to get a job when you go for a job interview. I'm like, oh my gosh, he is so ignorant. I no, I venture to say being good looking is like it's a double-edged sword. It depends. Not everybody's a horny man that's interviewing you, Jack. Gosh, that guy is such a it just gets to me because it's that weird attitude. It's like you literally can't win with men like that. If you do make money off your looks or your body, like you're horrible, you're immoral. If you don't, why aren't you doing that? You could make money off your looks and your body. Why not? My long-term GF broke up with me, and now she doesn't know how to use the lawnmower. I don't want to be misogynistic, but I don't think a woman should ever have to mow the grass, and I always did it. Vap cap, that is so funny because I've never mowed, and it's something every year. I'm like, I should learn this just in case. You never know. He's like injured or something, can't do it. Um, and I don't consider that misogynistic unless it's coming from a place of you think she's literally incapable. If it's like I said, I've never done it. My husband's like the trash and mowing like religiously. I have taken trash out, but like he's really good at it. I don't want to nag him about those things like a lot of women do. And um yeah, it's if you think she's literally unable to because you are so much better than her. That's when that would be misogynistic. Tony, I was fighting with so many people in your chat when you had that live, so many offended dudes. It's like I don't want to laugh at everybody. I mean, I do laugh at them. I don't want to laugh across the board in case they really are hurting inside because like sometimes you can I mean it. Like, there's been times I've been nice to a man, and I can, like, feel that he's, like, surprised by it, and it's sad, and so I try to, like, treat everybody with respect, and, like, if they don't have it sink in by watching what this woman has to say, like, you never know, like, because they sat in and heard me say a few sentences, it might take a year or 2 or 3 to click, but it might all help one day. That's how I look at it. If women mowed grass, they'd have more of an appreciation for what men do around the house. Well, Sebastian, Uh, ideally, women do appreciate their male partner, right? Um, I'm not doing it to be a beggar. We are smart enough to know who can, can't, or who and what God puts in your heart if a person has the ability to do so or not. Right, Diamond, right. Totally. I think anybody that knows your channel, knows you at all, would know you're not that kind of person. You're not trying to like make money off of people as much as you can. Tony, I shouldn't have put out that energy or wasted my time, but it just irked me. Oh, I appreciate it. See, that's the one thing we need. Like we need the good men to help us check these men that would like say women take no accountability in the meantime. They're the ones literally taking no accountability for the fact that they're an adult and everything in their life is their responsibility. Yusuf, men compliment women and vice versa. Men aren't better than women. Women aren't better than men. Each has a role and each is as much important as the other. That is perfectly said, Yusuf. You modded me 5 lives later on why I love factory work live you did. Oh, okay, cool, Carrie. Sebastian, true, but for some reason the genders think it's a competition. Yeah, and I think a lot of that is contrived. I mean, like I feel like they pitted us against each other, like racially. They wanted us to stoke that. Not that there aren't truly racist people out there, but they definitely made things worse. And then it's like the gender wars came after that. Like after all the racial tension, then it's like men versus women, right? It's a divide and conquer tactic, in my opinion. Tony, only the ones who understand we complement each other, Sebastian. Okay, to all I can to provide for and help my wife, but I make it clear that I need her more than she needs me. LOL, just effects. Oh, Ellen, that's sweet. That's good that you know that. There's a lot of men that they want to like diminish the roles their wives have. Oh, he's Skipper, thanks for letting me know he's watching. Woo, you screenshotting this? You want me to make a goofy face so you can make fun of me like a 12-year-old boy because you're scented in growth? And you should read this book, rewind it, and listen to me read this because I'm sure you're not going to like order a book and read it because you're too uptight as Morris's asshole. Sorry, guys. Going to bed soon. Oh, good night, HK. I hope you sleep well. Thanks so much for all you have donated tonight. Your love and gifts don't go unnoticed. Yeah, I should get going too. Okay, okay, okay. How are you? Okay. At some point, you got to be able to do the job, said Sebastian. Some women take accountability. It's rare, but they are there. Well, I don't know. I feel the same way about, I mean, I think there's more good people than not, and it's human nature to see the bad, right? But then again, I don't have to deal with women in a romantic way either. A lot of my YouTube assumptions have changed recently. I plan on doing a video about that too, but many on YouTube can come in all shapes and forms just like people, but I'm trying my best daily not to make assumptions and judgments like I did in the beginning. Right. Not trying to tell you what to do, but you should make a long form vid, Amazon and Walmart wish list for your needs where you're out of work. I told Tayo to make a wish list for her office needs. Okay, thank you, Diamond. Thank you for saying that. Like you saying that really helps, because I don't, but thank you. Tony, then I'm glad that I did. It just felt like a buzzkill on your channel. Didn't want to bring negativity, but that's an excellent point about checking them. I definitely will keep that in mind. Right. It's like I think when you automatically look down on women, it takes another man to be like, hey, no, for you to really listen. Least favorite salad dressing, French, but I like it. It's just my least favorite. Pat Cup. I second that, Diamond. I would watch a long form video too. I'm definitely gonna be doing a lot more videos, the edited kind. I still have the Abraham Lincoln birthplace we went 2 weeks ago that I like, that's gonna be easy. Laughing at the whole party ceremonies. Diamond, just like I told Taya, don't feel bad and you deserve it and your subs will know you and support you if they came. Yeah, right, right. Thank you, Diamond. And thank you, Tony. Thank you, Vapcat, Sebastian. Who else is in here? Mr. Carey, the Mr. Carey. Thank you, everybody. Alan, and thanks, Skipper, for the super chat. Oh, and thanks for giving us a good laugh, Aaron. I really like as Christian as I'm not, like I'll end it on this. I really do hope the best for everybody and anybody that's like struggling with anything right now. And I'm going to pray for Aaron Atz. I'm going to pray that he finds peace so he can quit attacking women that are like, I guess I'm too old to be his daughter. I just feel like, this man is my elder. I tried to say, see ya, like, you're not gonna get my full name, okay. It's creepy. I would never the edited content, I saw a video, the video where it's the same thing over and over, like, on a loop, is stuck, and his brain is fried, and let's pray for it to recover. Vinaigrette, that's my favorite. Yusef, this is what I always say. You will never catch my husband going back and forth with women online. You will never catch my husband making edited content on an online platform, trying to tear down a woman. And like I said, I called him a jerk. What else did I say? Like I said, it was mean for me to call him names. That's out of character. I shouldn't have called him names. I can't help it. He made a video making fun of me. Like I think most people would be like, he's a jerk. He's the perfect example of why I feel totally disrespected when people say that women shouldn't be able to vote. Because if that is who should be able to vote, even though, somebody like me can participate in the system, pay taxes, and we shouldn't be able to vote, this is why mad feminists are out there. When I was in my younger 20s, I had a spot in the same place on my nose, but I don't remember why it stopped popping up. Yeah, it's always been a scar, and I actually put concealer on it. It looks way worse. Like it was like way worse than this before makeup. And it's like on the bump on my nose. You know what I mean? The ENT, I can fix that for an extra $2,000. That's what pretty privilege is. This is what pretty privilege gets you. Having everybody tell you what is wrong with you or what flaw could be tweaked to make you look even prettier. Okay, guys. Um, I have a husband, you said. Oh, no, no, he's not my husband. Aaron is not my husband. Aaron has been twice divorced, and I believe that is a reason for his bitterness. And that's no offense to divorced people. Everybody's welcome here. But like the way he's been towards me, I don't know if I like remind him of one of his ex-wives or what, but it's Lydia talking fast. In my nose? Is it me talking too fast? Is that what you're saying? Oh, I'm gonna go too, Sebastian, I'm sorry. Have a great night. I love you guys. Tony, thank you for doing that reading. I wasn't sure what your name was and didn't want to come off as being strange asking, so reading from others, Lydia. Lydia, yes. You're welcome, Tony. Diamond, although I've not made a vid about it yet, it's on the list of I plan on it. I do have HPV type 1618. I don't know if that has anything to do with mine I used to have. Oh, Diamond, that's what I had to, girl. Tony, we'd love to see more readings, but not until we get you more monetization. I am monetized. I'm just not gonna monetize the readings, but I'll probably do one tomorrow. Don't doubt how beautiful you are, naturally gorgeous on Diamond. Thank you. Good night, Alan. Good night, Tony. Good night, Mr. Carey. I love you all so much. See you soon.